Good evening and welcome. I am Shebra Evans, Board President. Tonight is the first of two nights that we have set aside to hear from the community on the Superintendent's FY 2021 operating budget proposal to the Board of Education. As always, board members are looking forward to hearing and giving thoughtful consideration to your input as we prepare to review and take action on the superintendent's recommendations. Before we begin, let me allow board members to introduce themselves, and then I would like to have MCPS staff in attendance sitting at the dais introduce themselves as well, and then we'll recognize people in the audience. So I will start with Ms. Wolf.
Brenda Wolf, Vice President, District 5.
Heather ONeill, District 3.
Judy Daka, District 1.
Good evening, welcome, thank you. I'm Rebecca Smondrowski, District 2.
Good evening, Jeanette Dixon, Member at Large. Thank you all for coming out this evening.
Good evening, I'm Carla Silvestre at Large.
Good evening, I'm Nate Tinbite, the student member of the board.
Good evening, thank you for being here for our budget hearing tonight. Jack Smith, Superintendent.
Good evening, Monifa McKnight, Deputy Superintendent. Thank you for coming.
Good evening, Nicola Diamond, for a few more days, Chief Financial Officer.
Yeah, hello, I'm Dan Morella. I'm the Acting Chief Financial Officer.
Kim Statham, Chief of School Support and Improvement. Good evening.
Good evening, Andy Zuckerman, Chief Operating Officer.
Good evening, Maria Navarro, Chief Academic Officer.
Thank you. If we have any MCPS staff in the audience, if you'll please rise and just wave your hand. Very good. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. The order of speakers is printed on the agenda available on the table before you enter the auditorium. Most speakers have provided their testimony, but if you have not, please give 20 copies to our staff sitting at the table to my left, your right. When a speaker begins, the green light will go on 30 seconds prior to the buzzer. A yellow light will appear and be accompanied by a beep. The red light signals for you to stop. And we just want to be respectful of everyone that's here tonight that has provided written testimony. We want to give everybody a shared opportunity to be able to come and speak. So we're asking you all to be respectful of all of our attendees that are coming to speak. The board's second night set aside for a hearing on the proposed operating budget is Wednesday, January the 15th at 6 p.m. The board's work sessions are available on the website, but we will have a meeting on Wednesday the 22nd, 2020 at 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. and then on Tuesday, January the 28th from 12:30 until 4:30. We will take tentative action on the operating budget on Monday, February the 10th, 2020. So at this time, we will begin with our first speaker. On the agenda, we will begin with our students. Could we have Sakai Fraser come to the podium?
Good evening. Wait, look. Is this on? All right. Good evening. My name is Sakai.
Good, fine.
All right.
You sound good.
Good evening. My name is Sakai Nesu Fraser, and I am the proud president of Cabin John Middle School. Thank you for allowing me to testify about where to increase our MCPS budget. Number one is school toilet paper. This is a common complaint sustained by my fellow students. It's so bad that advocating on this issue actually got me elected. It feels rough as sandpaper and very thin, which has led to many uncomfortable circumstances for students. On top of that, the toilet paper dispensers are extremely inefficient and only allow for 2 to 3 squares to be broken off at a time. I have over 100 signatures on a petition advocating for better toilet paper from Cabin John's 8th grade alone. So please allocate more funds towards upgrading to quality toilet paper, as right now schools can only purchase the low quality variant. The second topic is purchasing more buses. MCPS has too many students and too few buses. I've seen the crisis going on right now when it comes to bus space and overcrowding. I have personally witnessed the horrible seating. Students, including me, sitting on the floor, squeezing 5 people in a 3-seater and witnessing an actual fist fight over who could be the third person in a 3-seater. I have talked to hundreds of students who feel the same way. We must make sure that my fellow students get the respect that they deserve. We as a county are never short on compassion for students and shouldn't be short on buses either. Overcrowding buses is a serious safety concern and a liability issue if anyone ever gets hurt. The final item that I want to cover is allocating more funds towards electronics, specifically in the video game department. My other platform while running for president, and one that is national advocacy, is implementing video games in school. Video games are bigger right now than the music industry, the TV industry, and even the movie industry. However, it has seen little to no place in our school system, even though it's the one most suited to education. Despite the negative stigma, video games remain and will continue to remain a staple among our youth. 91% of children play video games. It only makes sense to implement methods of teaching that interest children. As the world evolves, so should our schools. Video games enhance education by improving problem solving, hand-eye coordination, dexterity, and memory. They've been shown to help doctors perform better when performing surgeries. There are now scholarships to college for competitive video game teams. The UK is starting to use Super Mario to introduce coding and other life skills to teach children. As our world and education system become more and more digitized, video games will become more and more prevalent in our education. Video games even result in increased job skills and therefore better jobs to support Montgomery County's economy. So I ask you, do we want to ride the wave of the future or end up lost at sea? I came here to provide the concerns of student bodies across not only the county but the nation. Sometimes these concerns are laughed off or ignored by those in power. I believe that you're different. I know you have the passion and the drive to work with students to solve real issues, no matter how big or small. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Pranav Tanakonda.
Good evening, President Evans, Superintendent Smith, and the wonderful Board of Education members. Thank you for once again providing the opportunity to amplify our voices and speak with you all about the concerns and needs we face on a daily basis here in MCPS. It's still extremely hard to believe that I'll be heading out of high school in less than 6 months. It feels like only yesterday I started school in 2007 at Spark Matsunaga Elementary School in Germantown, where I was enrolled in kindergarten. I was also an ESOL student. Although my experiences in the ESOL environment were very little, my time in the program definitely shaped my future educational career. Matsunaga provided me all the support and resources I needed, and there wasn't a single thing wrong with the way I was taught inside and outside the ESOL classroom. But more than anything, I know that Matsunaga was the exception to that. And I definitely felt integrated at Matsunaga. In my 13th year of schooling here in MCPS, one thing I can say for sure is that currently attending Richard Montgomery High School, which I'm sure all of you know, has a student body in which 9% is ESOL students. Doing the math, that's approximately 215 ESOL students. Yet I unfortunately have not had a single class nor interaction with any ESOL students. And I'm not the only one. My peers and friends don't speak of any friends who happen to be in ESOL programs. And there's a clear divide. One that can be fixed with the stronger funding for ESOL students to be enrolled in regular honors and AP courses. And I ask that there's a substantial funding dedicated to bettering the ESOL program, but also approaching the divide that is so prevalent in many schools by allocating more resources to accommodate ESOL classes. So thank you for already addressing the growing need to focus on ESOL and farm students. MCPS already has made a statement about this, and I hope that you all follow through on this priority and dedicate specific money to integrating the school better. And I'm sure you all have already heard many of my peers over the months talking about the importance of better mental health resources across schools. With the constantly increasing enrollment across the county, it is essential that we continue to prioritize personnel and resources across the school to maintain the best possible mental health for every student walking through the school doors. So I would just like to reiterate the asks of my peers and continue focusing on mental health as a key priority. Thirdly, one concern I've heard from my peers about the county is the lack of transparency regarding the accessibility to technology. Many students who don't have access to tech in their households rely on school tech. Yet there are no directions that students can find to rent a Chromebook. So I ask that you increase the number of Chromebooks at school, so that way students can use them during lunch, during class, and at home if necessary. And finally, I'd like to talk about the arts and how they're an ever-growing concern. My last and very important request for you all is to increase funding for the arts. This year I've had the opportunity to learn from artists across the United States to see how they advocated for resources and increasing arts funding. So, let's open a dance class at RM or a film class at Churchill or a theater class at Blair. It's essential to focus on a STEAM education, not just STEM, so that we can produce generations of MCPS students. Yeah.
We have your testimony. Thanks, Barnum. So next we will hear from our employee associations as well as our parent organization. No, come on. And we will hear from Lynn Harris. She's the president of MCCPTA.
Good evening, President Evans, Dr. Smith, members of the Board of Education, and MCPS staff. My name is Lynn Harris, and I'm the proud president of MCCPTA. And I'm here to testify on behalf of the germane and overarching priorities of our 208 schools, our 166,000 students as reflected through our organizational work, reaching down into each school through our PTAs. The mission of PCA is to make every student's potential reality by empowering communities and families to advocate for, and I strongly believe with, all students. And MCCPTA's overarching goal for the past 2.5 years has been to work with you to ensure that every student in every school feels safe, feels welcome, and feels valued, being exactly who they are. And anyone who has heard me speak in the past 33 months has heard me say this same refrain, that as a system, I strongly believe that every decision we make, from hyper-local to germane and system-wide, needs to include the student voice in a substantive and meaningful way. The students are our #1 customers. They greatly outnumber us in our schools. They know things about our schools and about their fellow students that nobody else does. And if their lived experience of our schools is not informing us in everything that we do, we are not making the best decisions that we can. And when our students speak, they know what they're talking about. So when I see these students here saying increase funding for the arts, I think we should increase funding for the arts. Others from MCCPTA will speak to the specific issues and priorities of schools and clusters. Well, I want to take my time to focus in again on the germane and overarching priorities of our organization as reflected in our advocacy priorities. Because all of us agree that job one of the school system is education and providing to each student the best possible educational experience, taking into account the individuality of each student and any circumstances, whether temporary or long-term, that require specific supports to enable a student to successfully learn. And whether that means a teacher in a classroom who's deeply trained in trauma-informed practices so they can help a student suffering from an adverse childhood experience emerge from a fight or flight response to come back to a place where they can engage in the instruction for the day, or a student who needs a recovery school to help them to continue their forward academic progress, to students in our emotional disability programs who are learning how to emerge from a place of school aversion to a place where school becomes a meaningful place that is helping them achieve their potential. All of these things are important work that we do. We strongly support the recommendations that come from the Kirwan Commission, enhancing and expanding early childhood education, professionalizing a teacher workforce, and making sure we are recruiting and retaining a truly diverse workforce so that our students see themselves reflected in the teachers and staff that walk the halls and walls of our schools. Whether we're looking at priorities that MCCPTA has talked about that are very specific, like the new bus tracking app that will enable our students and families to track their school buses every day, to overarching priorities around greater professional development around our newly implemented curricula, or expanding our restorative justice programming, planning for community schools and evaluating the rollout of innovative calendar and two-way immersion schools, the creation of an equity and innovation fund to equalize opportunities in schools so that the experience of a student in a school doesn't depend on their zip code. the increased uptake of evidence-based child protection programs and policies and the work that we do in that area, the hiring of additional counselors and psychologists. And I would just like to say one thing I think you'll hear repeated, which is we need more counselors and psychologists because they tell us they would like to have enough professional support that they can move from, in a counselor's job, the role of administrative handling of scheduling and programming and helping make sure college seniors are on track in their college applications, to a place of really supporting students in their life challenges, and our psychologists so they can move from a place of testing and screening to using their therapeutic skills with the students that they interact with daily, or could if there were more of them. I thank you for your hard work in support of our students in schools, and I look forward to hearing from my colleagues.
Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Darian from CAP. President.
Good evening, Ms. Evans, Ms. Wolf, members of the Board of Education, and Dr. Smith. I am Darian, Acting President of the Montgomery County Association of Administrators and Principals, MCAP. On behalf of our members, thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of the Superintendent's recommended operating budget for FY 2021. MCAP represents over 750 educational leaders who serve in administrative and supervisory positions in schools and central services. We are grateful to Dr. Smith and MCPS for including in the budget 3 new assistant principal positions for our elementary schools, and for converting 5 assistant school administrator, or ASA, positions to 12-month assistant principal positions for middle and high schools. School-based administrators willingly shoulder many responsibilities in order to serve all the needs of their school community. The heart of their tireless work is to improve student achievement and to ensure that student outcomes are not predictable by race, while leading a positive and collaborative school culture. Too often it is forgotten that administrators are educators, and the passion they had for an excellent educational experience for students in their classes now translates to a larger scale of a whole school. The work of administrators is complex, and having strong administrative teams and buildings is essential to meeting the needs of stakeholders and promoting instructional leadership. MCAP will continue to advocate for all elementary schools to have an assistant principal and for the continued conversion of the remaining ASA positions in our secondary schools. We would also like to share our support for Dr. Smith's recommendation for the addition of 3 Director of Learning, Achievement, and Administration, DLAA, positions to the Office of School Support and Improvement. Our current DLAAs each supervise between 23 to 27 schools, which is well over the research-based recommendation from the Center for Educational Leadership. We believe the increased staffing will result in greater coaching opportunities for our novice and veteran principals and will be of great value to schools as they continue their important school improvement efforts. Additionally, we would like to share our appreciation for the increased funding for security positions in our middle and high schools. There is no greater priority than student and staff safety. The addition of the 6 security rover positions to support elementary schools is a welcome initiative. Since elementary schools do not have security personnel, administrators have had to serve in this capacity with little to no training or expertise. Unfortunately, violence in schools and society has increased, and security support for all elementary schools should no longer be considered optional. It is a necessity. Lastly, while not yet fully finalized, we would like to express in advance our appreciation for your commitment to a competitive compensation package that recognizes the strength and skill of the administrative workforce in MCPS. Administrators in schools and offices are an integral part of ensuring that initiatives and leadership responsibilities are completed with excellence and that the school system functions well in all areas. Thank you for recognizing our contributions and for valuing the work of our school-based central office and business and operations administrators. MCAP and its members are very appreciative to the leadership and support we have come to count on from you, our Board of Education. We also appreciate the opportunity to engage in the budget process. We stand ready to provide support to ensure our county government fully funds the MCPS operating budget. We thank you for listening to and caring about our interests, and we look forward to continuing our work together. Thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Chris Lloyd, the president of MCEA.
Everything now, we must assume, is in our own hands. We have no right to assume otherwise, said James Baldwin. If we do not falter in our duty now, he said, we may be able, handful that we are, to end the racial nightmare and achieve our country and change the history of the world. Almost a year ago, Linda Darling Hammond spoke at the City Club of Cleveland. There, she reminded the audience that we have the highest child poverty rate of any industrialized country in the world. Children who are homeless, who are food insecure, who have no health insurance. That we also have 46 million children who in this year's time experience violence, abuse, or neglect. And Darling Hammond said to the City Club that given all of this, we can only conclude that we have an aggressive neglect of our children. And so MCEA seeks to address what we can do as we can do it. Through community schools, social and emotional supports for kids, ensuring racial and social justice, and honoring the teaching profession. Author Lisa Delpit wrote in Other People's Children, she provided a framework for culturally relevant instruction in the classroom, which requires powerful professional learning and time to build relationships. But the real question that has emerged is, do we want to pay for all of that for other people's children? In a culture that many times stresses competition, individual success, and political and economic power over the common good, that's a question sometimes difficult to answer. That answer charts the fate of our community. If a community supports its schools and those who serve children in them, then this process that we're undergoing is relatively easy. Because people fight for public dollars, for great public schools, for the public good. But if a community cannot support its schools and those who serve children, then public schools atrophy, resulting in fewer public dollars for a declining cycle of public schools where individual good is prioritized over common good. We know this courage will not come easy, but it is necessary. We know we are underfunded every year to the tune of about $500 million, according to Kirwan. That's just here in Montgomery. And we know that local per pupil spending has actually decreased from fiscal year 2009 by $276 a kid. Add the collective impact of that over an 11-year span, and it's little wonder we're having trouble meeting the needs of our young scholars. When we've experienced success is when we have appropriately funded our school system and had a laser focus. And when we are started to cut off that funding, that's when we saw the disparities grow and the workforce start to churn. To meet the needs of each learner requires resources. Just like a farmer has to have seed and equipment and fertilizer and the right environment, so do we in education. And just like a farmer can no more stand over her crops and say grow, we know that our young scholars cannot grow just because we want them to. We have to invest in them. That's why the superintendent's budget is a nose above water budget. It is a budget that seeks to start a journey of reinvestment on our system, but we know the needs are even greater. We have an opportunity and the need to transform the teaching profession, but it won't be easy. University of Maryland's education program has 50% fewer kids today than it did 6 years ago. Maryland is importing 60% of its teachers from out of state, and those that are in the profession are leaving in record numbers. Ask an educator why that is, and part of the issue is this. In Singapore and Shanghai, educators spend 60% of their day in professional development, planning for student instruction, and time for collaboration. 60%. Here, that's 30%. We know we now live in the next Gilded Age because income disparity is greater than any time in the almost 100 years. And the impact of poverty on this community cannot be dismissed, and generational poverty has deep impact. So if we want to see the promise of community schools, the true promise, it will have to be transformational work with culturally relevant curriculum, trauma-informed instruction, restorative justice practices, wraparound services, and communities, yes, that communities partner in actually running schools by school. Across the country, educators have been building a Red for Ed movement. We've seen it all around Los Angeles, Arizona, Oklahoma. And what that means is we'll fight for the schools our kids deserve. We'll fight for public dollars to be used for public schools, for the public good. We'll fight for the resources for the social and emotional well-being of our babies, and we will fight to maintain and build the profession of teaching so it is attractive to enter, especially for minority educators. And we will fight for the education of other people's children who may or may not look like us, but whose value is equal to each of us. Everything now, we must assume, is in our own hands. We have no right to assume otherwise.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Pia Morris, the president of SEIU Local 500.
Good evening, Board of Education members and community. My name is Pia Morris, and I'm the president of SEIU Local 500. I represent approximately 10,000 MCPS support services professionals. The proposed operating budget of $2.8 billion reflects our vision, our values, and hope for the future of the students of Montgomery County and our communities. For too long, the professionals at MCPS have been asked to do more with less. This has created unprecedented challenges and has had a tremendous impact on the students of this county. As our students come to schools with an increasing number of challenges, be they economic, academic, or social emotional, we have risen to meet these challenges with limited funding, resources, and staffing that barely address the needs of our students. Meanwhile, since 2008, we have been asking MCPS professionals to meet these challenges while receiving minimal cost of living wage increases as they struggle to afford to live in the county that they provide vital services and resources to. As a community, we must step up for our children and for the future. This budget represents a turning point. We are boldly requesting what is needed to support the academic and social emotional needs of our students. Let us not waste this opportunity and invest in our future. And let's not forget that without supporting services professionals, we can't get it done. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me this evening.
Thank you. At this time, we will go to board questions, and I'm going to start at the end with Nate.
Yep, I wanted to say thank you to Sakai and Pranav, if they're still here. Your testimonies were great. And I also want to say thank you to all of the employee associations for coming out here to testify tonight as well.
Ms. Silvestre. Okay. Ms. Wolf. Ms. ONeill.
So can we have a description of how the roving elementary security people will operate? And, obviously, I'm kind of concerned that, with 130 plus elementary schools, 6 is not very many. Also, we have repeatedly heard requests for more secondary, high school, and in particular middle schools. How much does each additional position cost for a middle school or high school security assistant? And finally, while Mr. Fraser made a lot of campaign promises, he did raise some important issues. And I know that we've heard even adults complain about our toilet paper in our restrooms, that it is single ply and not very soft, not like the readily available brands that people put in their homes. But what are the cost implications of moving to higher grade toilet paper, and also on our aging and problematic plumbing systems?
So I can start with the toilet paper costs if you'd like. Just making sure that Dr. Zuckerman wants me to answer this question. We currently purchase approximately 7,000 cases of toilet paper in a year for a cost of approximately $200,000. If we were to go up a grade, it'll be an additional cost of $236,250 annually.
I'd have to do some research, Ms. ONeill, on the impact on the infrastructure, though, and so we certainly can get back to you on that. With regards to security, and as Ms. Diamond or her team pull up the individual costs, what I'll say about secondary is we are looking on at a school-by-school basis around what each secondary school needs. Our intent is for middle schools to have a baseline of 2 security team members per school. So that there's one school currently that doesn't, John Poole. So everyone would have a baseline of 2, and after that, looking at student size, the layout of a facility, the number of incidents in a school, the square footage, and the number of students, we would then increase as needed. Similarly, at high school, we want to start with a baseline of 4, and then look at the factors that I just shared to increase as needed at high schools. So, and do you have the cost of what an additional
Sure.
fee would be?
Just a little context. We are adding 2 middle school security assistants and 3 high school security assistants already. Those are based on growth. Adding an additional, well, it depends on the salary scale. It's approximately $50,000 with some benefits. So call it $60,000 approximately, and we can get you an exact cost as well.
So across secondary, I feel really good about where we're headed with regards to that in terms of just having that coverage. And if we need to increase, we obviously can. But I relative to just with our benchmarking and with our SRO support and our partnership with law enforcement, I feel very good about that. With regards to elementary, which has been a concern, adding this complement of rovers enables us to deploy rapidly where we know we have a situation brewing, or if a principal needs support, there could be a conflict, there could be an issue that requires security support. It wouldn't be a daily occurrence. So we envision that our elementary rovers would have different zones around the county, but as needed could be pulled in to address specific situations. Elementary security is a very different type of situation than secondary, and so we look forward to building this out, but that's our intent, is to leverage them to be deployed as needed.
Dr. Daka, did you have a question or comment? Okay, Mrs. Madras P.
Yep, thank you. Thank you all for coming and for your testimony. I really appreciate it. Mr. Fraser, very well done. I very much appreciate your comments and the work that you're doing for your schools and your colleagues. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on because I too was wondering about the roving things. So they won't be able to address. I guess my 2 questions are: if needed, will they be able to address any of the secondary schools that need supports? And then my other question would be about subbing. We've, over the years, heard people come and testify about the fact that there aren't enough security subs. So I was wondering if that would be used for that at all.
Sure. So the elementary rovers, we do want to protect their time to be focused on elementary. I think if we were to start to reassign them to secondary schools, we start to lose that focus. But of course, that possibility exists. If there's a real crisis, we want to bring every resource we have to bear. So the answer is yes, of course we can do that, but we want to keep the focus on elementary. The other thing is that right now our cluster security coordinators who are based out of this building, who are responsible, there's 6 of them, responsible for 6 different areas of the county, often spend a lot of their time supporting elementary schools. So this frees them up to get back to doing their job of coordinating at a county level, which we think will be a real value add. So just with regards to subs, if a security staff member is out for an extended period of time, we absolutely provision substitutes in that situation. It's on a daily basis, we don't, and it's something we're looking at, and we know that if there are a couple of staff members down in a building, our cluster security coordinators are able to pull other security members from other locations as needed, but that's a rare occurrence. But if somebody's out for the long term, we do provide a sub in that situation.
Okay, that's good to know. And I don't think this is necessarily operating budget, but in terms of the overcrowded buses, I've been hearing about that a lot lately. Can you just speak to it a little bit? I know we are constantly reevaluating how many students are riding a bus and things. And I also know there's sometimes confusion as to how many students are expected to sit in a seat. And I think that that sometimes leads to concerns with overcrowding as well. How are we handling looking at that?
Yeah, so I think at this point during the school year, this would be a case-by-case situation because we should have these issues resolved. So I would love to talk to you about the buses that you're talking about specifically, because sometimes there are situations where we have students who might be on buses who shouldn't be on that bus, and we do have to ask them to ride a different bus, or we have to provision a new bus to add to the route. That's not uncommon for us. So I think this is a matter that we have to drill down to the specific situation you're referring to at this time in the year. It's not uncommon to hear this in the first couple of weeks of school where we're equalizing our routes and reassigning buses. I am surprised to hear it this late in the year, and I'd like to resolve that problem. So if we have a chance, I can connect with you and we can figure that out.
That'd be great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Ms. Dixon?
So I'd like to follow up as well where Ms. ONeill led about the toilet paper and thank Mr. Fraser as well. So could we find out what the cost is of what we're buying to Charmin, the Charmin toilet paper that's specifically sold at Costco? There are two types, the blue type, which is the regular Charmin, and then they have a stronger one that's red. And I know this because my mother, who lives with me and had a stroke, has requested the red as being stronger. And these things they sell a lot of it. And I wonder whether we couldn't get some kind of deal or something like that, depending on, what we buy. So if you could just, what's the difference in cost on that?
So the numbers that I provided earlier were actually from the purchasing costs of buying in bulk. And so when you look at one ply, which is what the concern is about, the overall cost for 7,000 cases is $29.30 a case. When you go up to two ply, the cost goes up by $4.45 per case, which has the overall cost increase to $236.50.
Okay, it may be worth it.
And we can provide you some more detail,
right?
If you'd like.
Thank you.
I think the point that Dr. Zuckerman made earlier is we have to talk about kind of the infrastructure as well, and the impact that additional plies have on the infrastructure in the building. So we can do both of those for you.
Right. And I think the Charmin is 3-ply. So also, I wanted to know about the 3 new APs and converting the 5 ASAs to AP positions. Where will those positions go? To which schools? Do we know? Have they been identified?
We have a draft list of schools. We're finalizing that list to make sure that we look at all of the criteria, the need, the enrollment, that sort of thing. But yes, we have a preliminary list.
Okay, could that be shared with the board?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will move to the next section of our agenda where we will hear from our cluster representatives. We will begin with Michelle Moeller from the Northwood Cluster.
Good evening. Thank you. The Northbridge Cluster would like to express our support for the superintendent's bold operating budget proposal. In discussing this operating budget with our cluster schools, we have come up with a few key items which we would like to bring to your attention. Northwood High School, as a highly impacted school, is in need of more counseling staff and pupil personnel workers. We look to the increase in counselors and psychologists as an indication that we may get some relief in those areas and be able to more effectively help our students navigate the difficulties of school and their lives. Also, as a school with a performing arts program, Northwood supports additional funding to provide instruments to elementary students who want to participate in the instrumental music program, and would encourage that free instruments be available at the high school level as well. As you may know, Northwood's instrumental music teacher was cut to half-time this year, and I cannot overstate the negative impact this has had on our instrumental music program. We lost a beloved, dedicated music teacher to a full-time position at another school. Our award-winning drumline has lacked a full-time sponsor. Orchestra students are taught by the chorus teacher, who is wonderful, but who is also not an instrumental music teacher. The students are looking up how to play certain music online because they cannot get the help they need in class. This should not happen in a school with an academy of music, theater, and dance. If high school students were able to take instrumental music without the financial burden of renting or buying a musical instrument, perhaps we could increase our enrollment in music classes and once again have a full-time music teacher. The Northwood community also supports the addition of a content specialist to support MCPS's theater and dance program, and the addition of theater and dance programs in our elementary schools. Dance and theater teachers at Northwood and other schools put in significant amount of time after school hours for rehearsals and performances and deserve to receive a stipend commensurate with that time investment. Increased security staff and cameras would be greatly appreciated at Northwood, where overcrowding, building layout, and the number of portables make their work challenging. PE teachers are unable to use the gym divider because, for the 5th year, it is broken and cannot be properly repaired. It is impossible to teach PE to a school of 1,800 students in a gym that does not have a divider, and instruction is negatively impacted. Additionally, the Northwood community seeks the support of the board and the superintendent in our push for safety improvements on University Boulevard. Just this school year, the bus shelter used by hundreds of Northwood students every day was flattened by a car who almost hit a student waiting for the bus, and a student on a bicycle was the victim of a hit and run, suffering a concussion and abrasions. Excessive speed and unsafe driving are a daily issue in front of the school. Students walk to school on narrow, unbuffered sidewalks next to speeding cars. Just yesterday, a memorial event was held for a neighbor who was struck and killed crossing University Boulevard near Northwood. 20 years ago, Shamara Perry was killed by a driver while going to Northwood, and her family maintains her memorial in front of the school to this day. We are tired of memorials, injuries, and lost lives. We need more crosswalks, better sidewalks, speed cameras, and a 25-mile-per-hour school zone designated in front of our school, in front of all high schools. Other schools, such as Seneca Valley, have also asked for speed cameras and have been met with silence. We must change this attitude of indifference to our students' lives that exists throughout our county and state. Last year, Silver Spring International Middle School requested a 3rd security guard be added to their team as soon as possible. With its unusual building layout, large student population, and detached gym, Sims is the ideal candidate for additional security staff. With a student population of nearly 1,100 and anticipated increasing enrollment, Sims is approaching the population of some high schools in Montgomery County that have 3 or more security staff. Between the Purple Line, the Addition Project, and Sims will be in the midst of construction until at least 2023. They have an additional security guard. They need an additional security guard to help the school community through this transition period and beyond. In our elementary schools, our COLA is working hard to make their innovative school calendar successful. They are appreciative of the increased enrichment opportunities like field trips, mindfulness, and Project Lead the Way that the innovative school calendar affords. There has been some student and teacher fatigue that goes along with the length of the school year, and a slightly longer winter break or other breaks could alleviate that. In addition, they are requesting, as they have in previous years, for more administrative support to meet the needs and size of their school community. At Forest Knolls, they are continuing to advocate for math content teachers in all elementary schools. And at Highland View, they need access to more bilingual ESOL counselors and a regularly scheduled parent community coordinator. Despite meeting the farm's threshold, no parent community coordinator was assigned to Highland View this year. This does a great disservice to the students and families of the Highland View community. The school would be very supportive of placing a community school pilot in their building, along with additional space needed for those services. Thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Laura Mitchell, representing the Wheaton Cluster.
Good evening. Thank you all for having us. And Dr. Smith, thank you for your budget proposals. They are very bold. I've heard that word a number of times, and I do appreciate it. And I know that we have a lot of work to do still beyond this. Kerwin addresses some of that, and I encourage all of us, everyone here, to make sure that we keep repeating the mantra that I heard from Dr. Smith. This is in addition to current funding. Kerwin funding does not replace current funding. So just put that out there. And one of the things that, there we go. One of the things I'd like to see done with some of that money and some of the funds that we have is more psychologists and counselors in our schools. We hear that over and over again. We've heard it a number of years in a row. I feel like we're making a little progress, but in hearing not just from parents, but from students at our mental health forum on Saturday, students were sitting on the stage talking to us about delays in getting testing, seeing their friends, themselves even, not being able to get tested because we don't have enough psychologists. The national standard is 1 to 500 for psychologists in the school. MCPS ratio is about 1 to 1,750. So that's a pretty big deficit. We have 102 system-wide covering our 208 schools, but many of those are designated, 16 of them for the ESOL programs. 5 positions are vacant. We have some new regulations that are causing some of that, but I think there are some other issues that also contribute to that. I think that we could partner with some of our local colleges and universities to maybe streamline that background and testing process to start while they're still in school and over the summer so that we don't have that lag where they're not working at all. We lose a lot of people in the between the application and the hiring process. Another issue is the 10-month employees not getting 12-month pays. I know we're working on that. Being able to get a check 12 months a year, it's pretty important to most of us. It's very hard to budget when you're not getting a check 2 months out of that year. And the biggest competitive disadvantage that I see that we lose people for, psychologists and counselors both, is because they're spread so thin. Particularly our psychologists, they're covering 2 and 3 schools, mostly 2, I think, but there are a couple that I understand are covering 3 schools. And that stretches people very thin. They really only get there to do the testing and the paperwork, and they're out. So they're really not able to offer any services or support to our students who desperately need it in many cases. And that brings me to another comment I'd like to make about the handle with care. I know that we're making some progress on that. I spoke to you about that last year, and I've spoken with some of you many times about that. And that just lets our schools know when a student has a particular incidents outside of school that may be traumatizing to them so that we can offer that care in a timely fashion and be more effective for them, or get them services, whether it's in school or out of school with referrals. But we know that there's a need. That helps identify that. PPWs and PCCs are also very, very important. But again, we only have 56 in school, our process, in our pipeline, I'm sorry. We have 2 more in this budget and 6 more PCCs, but we still need more. Those are the homeschool connections. Those are the ones that are helping us get those services to the kids for the things that we can't offer in school. So that's really important. Be Well 365, wonderful program. Kind of rolled out bare bones. We need to put more meat on the bones. One of the things that we really need to do is make sure that all of our staff are trained very well. There are some similar issues with restorative justice, and I understand that this budget does also include 2 instructional specialists that will help to kind of be the trainers. They'll be the ones that get trained and can then push that out to the staff so they are better equipped. Another concern that I have is about substance use prevention and education. Maryland, Start Talking Maryland Act requires that we provide opioid education in our schools. But they usually get 1 or 2 days in a health class, which is 1 semester per year. That's not enough. We're not getting enough. I encourage you to look for more partnerships, whether they're public-private or with other agencies, OIT and HHS. It's really just important that we get that information out there and that we let our students know what the dangers are of that and give them more information. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Laura Stewart, representing the Einstein cluster.
Good evening. I would like to start this year's testimony by thanking Dr. Smith for submitting a budget that prioritizes education that considers the whole child. Increasing the number of psychologists and counselors is extremely important. This budget does that, but we need to do even more. Specifically, Sligo Middle School has asked for additional part-time counselor, or at the very least, additional hours of ESOL counselor support. In addition, the Sligo Middle School METS program needs more funding and staffing. Increasing support for the restorative justice program is important as well. Part of serving the whole child is also ensuring their safety and security. We agree that extra security staffing is needed in this budget. Many schools have areas that cannot be monitored with personnel, so we also ask that more cameras be deployed. Sligo Middle School has asked for 6 additional cameras, and they've requested this for a couple years now. We also support the technology for buses that would include an app for parents in the future. Please continue to work with Montgomery County and state transportation to make sure bus stops are safer for kids. One death is too many, and any safety enhancements are encouraged. All kids need to have the opportunity to meet their potential. Expanding these opportunities should continue to be a priority. Elementary school teachers need more training as enhanced curriculum is introduced. A large class size and lack of teacher support means that kids might not get the full effect that is desired by the enhanced curriculum. Specifically, Woodland Elementary School PTA asks for more support in this area. Also, transitioning to new curriculum can be challenging for parents and kids alike. More support is needed. Sligo Middle School has asked for more materials in order to optimize their robotics program. In preparation for this testimony, this weekend, I reviewed the AP and IB scores that were released. Thanks for Cynthia for letting me know. One particular score at Einstein highlighted an equity issue that can be addressed in this budget or maybe during the MCEA negotiations. One AP computer science course was offered last year, the AP Computer Science Principles. The mean score for the county was a 3.3 out of 5. The mean score at Einstein was 1.2, over a point lower than any other school offering the course. We must serve our students better. Computer skills are a must in our job market. I understand there is a new teacher this year that will teach the course. Of course, I have a lot of questions. Again, Cynthia instructs us to ask a lot of questions, and I follow her lead. Did a seasoned computer science teacher get placed at Einstein? One that will build a program which kids can learn? If a new teacher was placed there, will they get the support needed in order to build the program? Can we identify more than 11 students that, given the right environment, will acquire the skills needed to achieve a higher score? How does the system respond to a failing program that is pivotal in today's job market, especially in tech fields? Can we incentivize high-performing teachers to take on such a challenge? There are many success stories at Einstein High School, including our strong history and Spanish scores. We're building the kind of citizens we want for our country. Our IB program is building and flourishing, but we also have to look at ways to improve programs. The operating budget is that tool. We ask that this budget is fully funded, but we also ask that you take the Black and Brown Coalition's report to heart and look at equity and staff placement as well. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Michelle Riley from the Blair Cluster.
President Evans and members of the board, we in the Blair Cluster thank you for the opportunity to provide comments on the proposed 2021 operating budget for MCPS. We are supportive of your leadership in ensuring access to a quality education for all students and the many ways you advocate for our children to have a positive and safe learning environment. This associated testimony process represents a tremendous amount of work, and your commitment to hearing all voices is to be commended. We specifically appreciate the proposed $100,000 in funding strategic accelerator funds to allow students who do not own a musical instrument to participate in instrumental music programs, which are very well enrolled and attended in the Blair Cluster. We are also pleased to see the proposed $5 million reduction in the reserve balance of the MCPS Employees Group Insurance Fund due to lower than expected levels of medical and prescription drug claims. It is attentiveness to budgetary items such as these that give MCPS its outstanding reputation for fiscal accountability. We are very concerned by the data breach of the Naviance platform that resulted in almost 6,000 student accounts being accessed without authorization. Students at 6 schools were affected, including students at Blair High School. Unfortunately, it is likely there will be more breaches of personal data in the future, and there is no additional funding provided in the budget for employee training on data security or putting additional precautions in place to try and minimize such breaches. The 6,000 students that were affected will hopefully not suffer any negative consequences, but we may not know for years how the information obtained will be used. As the parent of a senior at Wheaton High School, where the breach was first discovered, I know that students have to use Naviance, as you know, in order to request transcripts and counselor recommendations. MCPS must anticipate that, statistically speaking, it is likely another breach will occur, and in anticipation of that eventuality, implement training programs that can hopefully minimize the damage. I would also like to highlight a request within the Blair cluster from Piney Branch Elementary School in Tacoma Park to fully reinstate last year's drastic reduction of special program and focus funding at Piney Branch. While 11 schools lost special program funding in the FY20 budget, Piney Branch Elementary School is the only one boasting a named special program with hundreds of students enrolled. I'm referring to the Piney Branch STEM program, which is a core educational priority of the Piney Branch community. Please restore the 0.5 FTE special program and 0.3 FTE focus funding to the Piney Branch Elementary School operating budget. Last year's drastic reduction of funding to support this program effectively cut the Piney Branch STEM program down to 45 minutes of instruction every 3 to 4 weeks via classroom-to-classroom visits from a roving STEM cart. There is no designated STEM classroom space this year because the position was cut back. We need to keep a robust STEM program within Piney Branch Elementary. In particular, having a dedicated full-time STEM instructor and STEM classroom during regular school hours would be a big step forward toward addressing the achievement gap for many of the students at Piney Branch. The STEM special program allows for more creative exploration, engineering, design thinking, and problem solving to be practically applied in a fun way that appeals to kids. It teaches our children critical thinking skills, enabling them to make connections and think in creative and innovative ways, which are key skills they will need for any future career. Thank you for your time and consideration and for listening to the Blair Cluster input. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Marjorie DeVita from the Kennedy Cluster.
Good evening. My name is Marjorie DeVita, and I'm one of the 3 Kennedy Cluster representatives. I'm also a kindergarten teacher at Glen Allen Elementary School. I want to start off by saying thank you to the Board of Education for your consideration of our needs as you make decisions for the operating budget. Tonight, I'm speaking on behalf of Glen Allen Elementary School. For the past 6 years, Glen Allen STEM Academy has been an academic model and inspiration for educators across the county. We ask that the Board of Education make this item a priority, allocating the small amount required to keep this invaluable program delivering STEM benefits to our children, and that we continue to have funding for our focus teacher to continue staffing this program. Our students in grades kindergarten through 5th are fortunate to have this opportunity to build strong foundation in science, technology, and mathematics at an early age. Another benefit of this program at our school is the added focus on girls in STEM to introduce them to the STEM fields at a young age so that they are more equipped to break into careers that are mostly male-dominated. The STEM program also provides opportunities outside of the classroom to service students from kindergarten through 5th by providing free after-school clubs. Our STEM teacher fosters critical thinking and problem solving as she integrates real-world situations into her lessons. She does a remarkable job of keeping lessons relevant to the real world, and provides opportunities outside of the STEM classroom for students to make connections. Unfortunately, we have only one focus teacher for our STEM program, and she implements these lessons to a school with over 700 students. So students have to rotate through her class quarterly, since she cannot see everyone at one time. STEM is a part of our everyday lives. By exposing students early to STEM, it helps to foster a love of learning. It instills a passion and a drive during a critical stage of the elementary years. Elementary school-age children have the natural curiosity and inquisitiveness that STEM brings to the forefront, encouraging them to explore and learn. We would appreciate the funding for this focused position to continue and for the space to house this program at our school so that students can continue to excel in areas of learning that may not be possible without this program. Glen Allen also has a need for additional paraeducator staffing to support our students with intensive academic and social-emotional needs. The emotional demands of our students in some of the classes across all grade levels is beyond what we can support. This means that other students who are deserving and desperately need this additional support in order to be successful in other grades are not getting what they need because there's not enough staff. Targeted instruction in the earlier grades is critical for moving our students towards proficiency, and having highly qualified paraeducators support these needs by pulling small groups in addition to classroom instruction would greatly impact student success. There are limited paraeducators who are trained in providing specific targeted instruction and unfortunately are not being utilized in this way due to the many behavior and social emotional needs present in our school. As a teacher, ensuring that all students have the appropriate support and services to meet their unique needs can be a big challenge, and even more so when both ESOL and special ed services are added to their list of services. In addition to these needs and a demanding new curriculum that we need to implement with integrity, teachers need all the support possible in order to help all students receive the support they need to be successful. In order to meet their needs as well as the needs of the rest of the student body, additional ESOL and special ed personnel should be allocated. We want our students to reach their full potential, but how are we doing that when they are not receiving the support that they need in order to thrive? When we have our ESOL team administrating mandated testing and our special ed teacher being pulled to handle behavioral problems, it is our most vulnerable students who are on the receiving end of the deficit of support. There is a rising number of students with special needs and students with already identified needs who require more support than what is already identified in their IEPs, but there are not enough special ed teachers or paras to provide those services. When allocations are provided for special ed paras, it's a long process before they're hired, so resources are taken from other needs in the building to support the students with the most needs. Additional paras are needed to support students academically by plugging into their classroom or pulling small groups of students for differentiated instruction targeted for specific needs to ensure that all students meet the grade level standards by the end of the year. We ask that the Board of Education considers the needs of our students by allocating funds to provide more staff. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Jeremy Lawson, from the Quince Orchard Cluster.
Good evening, and thank you for your time and attention. I appreciate it. I just have a few points I wanted to make on behalf of Quince Orchard Cluster, and specifically the Fields Road Elementary School, where I'm the PTA president. I do want to add support also for the additional staff psychologists. I've seen the benefit that prompt testing and clinical care can do for adults and kids, and I think that would have an astounding impact to really get faster testing and care for our students. I also want to applaud the increase in spending on tech support, which I realize is a very boring thing to talk about. However, I do have a job, and I know the difference between being able to use technology and not, and so being able to have our staff and parents get done what they need faster with upgrades and training, I think is fantastic. And I also want to applaud the reconstitution of the ESOL director. With a school with a lot of English language learners, I know that having strong direction and support with getting English language instruction together is very, very helpful. And I was not prepared to talk about this, but I can't resist. Regarding the toilet paper issue, I do think that some schools should be bold and perhaps run a pilot program running bidets in the school and see how that goes. That would reduce the environmental impact and potentially reduce costs as well. I'm not an expert on that, but I just thought of it and had to share. And that's all I had for you this evening. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open up for board questions. What I'm going to do, instead of going one by one, if I don't see your light, then I'm assuming you don't have a question. Okay. Ms. Wolf.
I have a question about speed cameras. I don't think that we can control speed cameras, and maybe we can, but I noticed that a number of our high schools have speed cameras around them. Are there any cameras around Northwood High School? Do we know? There are none?
No.
Go ahead. Turn off a few lights so that we can get some people.
So there aren't any. I drive by every day, and probably near Glen Haven Elementary School, but that's quite up the street. So there's not any right next to Northwood.
I think you can ask the county to study the traffic situation there and look into the possibility of installing a speed camera, because I'm surprised that that's University Boulevard and they don't have something there in front of the schools. I know on the other schools that are on major thoroughfares, there are usually cameras of some sort. I know they are at Wheaton, they are at Kennedy. Gaithersburg, so I would like to explore how we can get a speed camera in front of that school.
And Senator Valley.
Dr. Zuckerman, did you want to respond?
I will be happy to put that request into the police who cite those different cameras. So we, as you know, work very, very closely with the Montgomery County Police Department on a variety of safety issues for students and pedestrians, and I will certainly relay that message from you, Ms. Wolf.
Senator Valley, too, please.
Excuse me?
Senator Valley.
So if we're going in order,
I
we'll
will.
get to you. You can
Yes.
respond to that.
The other question, well, it's not really a question, it's just a comment. We have heard the concern about the number of psychologists at a school, and certainly the budget will address this in some way, shape, or form. It will never address it to the extent that we need psychologists. But I would like to get some indication or some report so that I could understand how many psychologists are serving a particular school. So I know they might be sharing a school, but I would like to understand the ratio of psychologists to students. If I can get some information on that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
We can do so. And also, we can break down specific psychologists that are tied to programs, because there's a ratio there difference, and we can get that information total for you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Daka.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. On the first list of students, Mr. Conda made some concerns about ESOL students being in advanced classes, and I know that we're working on including more students who are not through traditional students in choice classes. So would you mind saying something about how we're doing that, or if we're continuing to do that? I'm looking at Dr. Navarro.
Okay.
Yes, that is an area of concern for us when we look at access for students across the system. Many of our students have access to everything available to them. One of the ways that we have worked on this to improve the level of access for students who are English learners at the high school level. It's important that we all keep in mind that when we are learning English is very important, whether it's early elementary, upper elementary, middle, or high school. And our number of high school students has increased dramatically in the ESOL program over the last 5 or 6 years. So we've worked hard to open up language classes, for example, International Baccalaureate or Advanced Placement, that is consistent with the language they bring with them. And we've increased the enrollment tremendously there. We've also worked hard to open up math classes, because many students, I mean, as Dr. Medina said to us in a board meeting back in the fall, we know what we know in every language, we just have to learn that language. And so there's been a real effort to do that. The courses that are more English language dependent are like English classes, are the more difficult ones where ESOL is there, but we're also piloting where we can teach some of the content in that home language of the students. So those are all different ways that we've addressed this with our high school students who are still being served in ESOL programs.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Northwood again, the gym divider, and I know that you probably, yeah, I can see Dr. Zuckerman saying, yes, they know about it, they're going to work on that, because it is an art school and they need to be able to divide the gym for whatever they're doing, dance or otherwise. Also, the bus platform that got run over, this is public bus that these students are waiting for?
It is a public bus stop in front of it. We'll follow up with the county government and see what's going on with that situation.
You know, I think that goes hand in hand with the fact that there are no speed cameras there. We were there yesterday.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw a speed camera on that road that goes up. Kemp Mill, I think, goes near Lee, but not out there. And you know that, well, some of you may have visited there. There's that turnoff that is pretty dangerous, but it does have a light, but it's still uncomfortable. And I just wanted to ask about the Navion security. I imagine that we're working on that because the students that lost some information or their information was tapped into.
We were able to solve that problem in that particular situation, but we're constantly upgrading our firewalls and our systems to prevent that. And the speaker tonight was absolutely accurate. This is an ongoing challenge for everyone in our society, and we have to be vigilant on every turn in terms of creating systems that cannot be hacked or broken into. So.
And the last thing I have, you'll be sorry that I'm asking questions now before I passed. Okay. STEM, there's 2 STEM programs, Blair, in the Blair cluster, and also in the Kennedy cluster. I think Glen Allen and Piney Branch. Is there anything we can do about that, or, what's happened there?
We'll send you the information. No action's been taken this year in terms of Glen Allen, but we'll send you a recap of the situation at Piney Branch.
Okay,
Thank you. Mrs. Mondrowski.
Yep, just following up, I also had the STEM programs at the 2 schools. And, we've brought this up before, I don't know, I guess it was the end of last year maybe, as there were concerns. So if we could get a description of what's happening at each of the schools. And also what might be involved, these programs, we so consistently hear from parents about how wonderful this program is. I don't know if it's a specific program or if it's each school does it their own way, but if we could get some information about what's involved in cost of something like that, if it's just the cost of a focus teacher or what might be involved in the ability to potentially expand those programs, I think would be really great. Special education and ESOL staffing. I know, this is the beginning of the operating budget season and going through everything, but if we could talk at all, well, I don't know if it's appropriate for you to be able to talk about it now, but funding based on need as opposed to just numbers and how we're doing our formulas, if we could explain a little bit to the public and to the board how we're doing that to provide enough resources, because some schools might have the same number of students in ESOL, for example, but their needs might be extensively greater.
Yeah, a system is used in both special education and in ESOL services to look not just at numbers of students, but for example, across special education, when you look at IEP services, there are 14 different disability codes. So the codes in terms of what students are receiving service for is the driver for how that staffing is done. So it's not just done by numbers, it's actually done by the needs of the students. And we had a significant increase in funding last year in that area, and we'll continue to increase that funding this year significantly. Also in ESOL, it's somewhat the same way in the sense that the students' level of language, prior education, all of those things come into that. And this budget does represent a very significant increase in spending on ESOL services across schools, across mental health services for ESOL students, and all the full wraparound set of services around ESOL. And we'll be breaking that down line by line in our budget work sessions on the 22nd, 29th.
Okay, good. I appreciate that, because during the work session, one of the things I was planning on addressing is those type of things. And also things like the school funds, what would you call it when so the principal has some discretionary funds for activities and things like instruments or whatever, and really making sure that, as we talk about equity over being equal, making sure that we're giving additional funding to our schools that really need the additional supports.
And this budget does help bring us to, we work specifically with the arts coordinators here at the central office, help us bring to a better level, having musical instruments across the system available to students who need them and who would like to engage. And it also has what's been a 1.5-year project working with the County Council PTA to create a fund to allow for access in schools regardless of the level of affluence or poverty in the school population, greater access to cultural experiences, field trips, all of those things. So that is also in this budget.
That's wonderful. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's so important. There was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember. But I was going to say thank you very much also, by the way, for the special funding for arts, or not special funding, but the equitable amount of funding per student in our schools for art supplies and things. The last thing that I had was we hear every year after year after year, and we all know, we all are concerned about the mental health supports, more school psychologists, more counselors. One of the things that Dr. Johnson and I had spoken about, I think kind of at the end of last year, was trying to work with the county on potentially either piloting or partnering with social workers in our schools to help support some of the needs there. The county does provide some, or works with us to provide a few in some of the schools, but increasing that, is there any kind of conversation or anything around that?
Yes, Dr. Crowell and I have discussed that, and then Dr. Navarro has followed up with the staff there to see if we can create a stronger partnership to provide direct service within schools. I don't know, Dr. Navarro, if you want to add to that.
So I just want to add, MCPS actually hires a small number of social workers for specific programs. Most of them are in special education. The other places where we have social workers that work with our schools is in all of our linkages to learning sites and our wellness centers. And one of the things that we are working with HHS on is looking for ways in which wellness and health for students can be expanded through extensions of times of those regional wellness centers in some of our high schools. And I think in the spring, we might be ready, HHS might be ready to move forward some of those requests. And I think some of their requests, in their funding requests to the county, is going to highlight some of those pieces because that work is in conjunction with MCPS.
Great, I really appreciate that, because I wish every school could have a linkages to learning, but as much as we can do to help our support our communities as possible is great. Thank you.
Ms. Dixon.
Great. So just an item of information. Montgomery County has 10-month employees and also 12-month employees. And Ms. Diamond can help me with this, but we don't have folks working, during the summer when they're not needed. But I do think that if you are a 10-month employee, you can have your pay spread across 12 months. Is that correct, Nikki, or that's no more? Not now?
We don't do that right now. However, as we build and looking to build a new HR system, we are looking at how we can provide that option to staff. What we do provide to staff is defined savings. So you can actually, for each paycheck, put aside a certain amount of money in a separate account with the teacher's bank, a separate bank account, credit union. Essentially what we're doing when we're spreading out your salary over 12 months is we are holding back a piece of your salary each of the 12 months, putting it in a separate account, and then using it and paying it to you over the summer months. So we do give staff the option right now to do that, what we call forced savings, if you want to call it that. But we are looking into a technological way as we adjust and move into a new HR system in the future years to be able to do that for staff so they don't have to use a savings account. We can just spread out their pay.
Right. Well, that would, I think, answer Ms. Mitchell's question about, the 12-month, pay.
Yep.
That would be great, I think, when we go to the new system, if we could do that. Thank you.
Can
Mrs. Smodrowski,
I just
one
want
more
to
question.
So we had brought that up at the meeting with MCEA and talked about it, and I think you had mentioned it might take 18 months or something, and you were looking at potentially if we could make that happen sooner. Any
So it does take a while to build the new system. We're beginning that process in September, and so it's not automatic. You have to build the system, you have to test the system. And so what we do provide is the ability for staff who want to do the savings through a certain amount every pay period to be set aside in a credit union account, and then they would have access to that in the summer.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay. So before I announce our next speaker, I just wanted to recognize any MCPS employees that we may have in the audience, administrators, teachers, supporting staff. If you're in the audience, could you please stand so we can recognize you if you weren't recognized earlier? Very good. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and sit with us here today. We will proceed. I will now introduce Carrie Primozic. Yes, from the Northbridge Cluster.
Good evening. Thank you to the Board of Ed, Dr. Smith, and MCPS for this opportunity this evening. The Gaithersburg Cluster is a special place. We have dedicated principals, teachers, staff, students, parents, and PTAs. We are pleased to see an increase in full-time employee positions in the fiscal year 2021 operating budget. This past weekend, the PTAs in the Gaithersburg Cluster met to connect, share best practices, discuss challenges, and simply learn more about each other. From this meeting, commonalities among our PTAs, our Gaithersburg parents were a need for more elementary level after-school enrichment programs and staffing to help implement those programs, plus buses for after-school activities to support equity for all students. Challenges with tech modernization to pay for cost of toners and maintenance to printers, funds to cover basic hygiene needs at schools, such as hand soap, toilet paper, and tissues. Educating our parents on curriculum, programs, and social and emotional needs was a high priority for this parent group. More options for academic acceleration and enrichment for our students as they work in the classroom, specifically at the elementary level. As we think about the fiscal year 2021 operating budget, the opportunities for all of our students is a priority. Over half our student population is Hispanic and African American, so we are excited about the research and advocacy for our Black and Brown students by the Black and Brown Coalition. The Be Well 365 initiative and restorative justice programs can also support our community of students by teaching our students necessary skills to be their best in school and as they venture out into our county and represent our cluster. We support all funding for these programs. For these programs to be effective and beneficial to our schools and our students need proper staffing. Our Gaithersburg Cluster priority is staffing. Staffing to support ESOL and special education programs, as well as keeping class sizes manageable and to support our students' emotional needs and well-being. The Gaithersburg Cluster supports full funding for full-time employment positions. We simply need staff to be able to implement our current ESOL programs, special education programs, and have sufficient number of counselors and psychologists. We currently do not have enough staffing to properly implement these major programs in our schools. Staffing for ESOL. Our ESOL students need to be supported. Gaithersburg High School has the highest ESOL population in the county. Because of this, we feel our needs for ESOL support is a priority. MCPS can support our ESOL students with funding for additional general education staffing, additional elective staffing, additional staffing to support our ESOL Level 1 students. Please refer to my written testimony for further details on this. Staffing for counselors. There should be one counselor for every 250 students. However, this is not always the case. We need more counselors in the Gaithersburg Cluster for our increased need to support students who experience trauma and the overall emotional needs of our students. Staffing for psychologists. We need full-time psychologists. Our bridge programs and special education students need this support. Again, refer to my written testimony for further detail. Staffing for special education. Another common link in our schools is the need for proper staffing for positions for our special education programs. When our schools' special education programs are understaffed, they are unable to implement the required time needed to support our special education students. Specifically, we need to fund all of the 132 new special education positions at a minimum. Staffing for curriculum. Curriculum is always a priority, and the more we invest in staffing, the more knowledge and skills our students will gain. We cannot afford to have these programs not properly staffed. Here in Montgomery County Public Schools, we speak of equity. The equity at our Gaithersburg Cluster schools is needed, and we know it can be done. We want our students to continue to show the county what we can do, and to do this, we need increased staffing for ESOL programs, special ed, counselors, and psychologists. We need increased staffing, our students' ability to reach full potential through academic growth growth and social and emotional strength will produce college, career, and community-ready young people. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Melissa Regan from the Seneca Valley Cluster.
Good evening, Board of Ed members, Superintendent Smith, and other MCPS staff. I'm Melissa Regan, here to speak on behalf of the Seneca Valley Cluster in regards to the proposed hefty operating budget. Projected additional student enrollment for next year is 2,836, and these students easily generate a need for classroom teachers, administrators, counselors, ESOL staff, special educators, cafeteria and security staff, and even bus drivers. This budget includes an additional 562 full-time equivalent positions. We would specifically like to support the addition of 135 K-12 classroom teachers. This helps keeps class sizes reasonable, and I know that families appreciate this. We also support the additional 131 positions needed for special education. It might be 132, I might be one off from Gaithersburg. We support the enrollment and services staff for special education. I do want to make sure there's enough central office or cluster team staff available to assist these special educators, because evaluations and placements often go beyond the scope of the school itself. Another shout out for the 37 ESOL teachers. In Germantown, similar to other many parts of the county, we have a thriving community of people that speak English as a second language, and we appreciate the programming available to these students. Besides staffing, the focus on updated curriculum is important. It's the core of the work. We ask that differentiation be a focal point when choosing and implementing curriculum. Too often, both parents and students are asking for more choice to meet their needs at the elementary and middle school levels. If students need more challenge and rigor in their home elementary and middle schools, how is that need being consistently met across the county? Student pedestrian safety is now something that unfortunately has become more prevalent. I hear you, Northwood. The Safe Routes to Schools Committee has partnered with the MCPS Department of Transportation to review placements of bus stops and hopefully walking routes. There are 30,000 bus stops and 1,280 individual bus routes. We fully support the additional staffing for bus drivers and attendants. We also want to use technology available for tracking buses and students. Using an app to locate buses minimizes time waiting at stops, especially helpful in the beginning of the year as routes are changed, when weather is a factor, and when a substitute might be filling in and a bus is late. Additionally, many schools have robust after-school programming, but activity buses are typically routed through the home neighborhoods only. For students that attend central programs, such as humanities at Martin Luther King Middle, they can only stay after school for clubs and teams if they have their own way home. So any expansion of activity bus routes would be greatly appreciated. According to Everytown, in 2019, there were 108 incidents of gunfire at schools nationwide. Do we have enough security staff in our schools? 2 are typically assigned for middle schools. Almost always, one of those is preoccupied in the cafeteria, at the door, or involved in helping a student. That leaves just 1 to be visible in the hallways and be proactive, build relationships, and be available for other students in need. In high schools, the number of security staff varies, with 4 as a minimum. Do we need higher minimums? For high schools, there are factors considered, such as enrollment and the design footprint of the building. For example, Blair has 9, Northwest 7, Clarksburg, Gaithersburg, QO 6, Damascus, Einstein, Seneca Valley have 5. New Seneca Valley has an unprecedented 5 floors and the most square footage of any school in the state. We will double student enrollment shortly. Wouldn't Seneca Valley increase to 7, at least the same amount as Northwest? The current 5 can't possibly cover the students in building in the same way from the old building to the new behemoth. Seneca Valley is asking for security staffing commensurate with the other size XL schools. Lastly, representing a cluster with many low-income families, the Equity and Innovation Fund of nearly $2 million for schools to apply for funding so that the students and staff in need can try to level the playing field is remarkable. Game changer for things like field trips, specialty technology, and club needs. Especially fantastic is specifying the opportunity for musical instruments and repair. I recently discovered that instruments are only purchased at the time a school is opened. So for schools that are 30 and 40 years old, the instruments are mostly toast. And while a small amount of funds are available for repairs, they are nowhere near what is needed. This leads to what we call the room of doom, where broken instruments pile up and not able to be used. Using this equity fund will directly help schools in higher farms locations obtain instruments. Want to specifically separate instrument funding at $200,000 for purchases, $100,000 for repairs each year, which is the industry standard to maintain successful music departments according to MCPS art staff.
Thank you. We have your written testimony. You almost had it. Thank you. Now we will hear from Tori Rodriguez from the Northwest Cluster.
Good evening. I'm
Good
Tori
evening.
Rodriguez, representing Northwest Cluster tonight. The Northwest Cluster appreciates the recommendations in Dr. Smith's fiscal year 2021 operating budget, particularly the focus on the new student information system and the reinstatement of the ESOL director position. We believe that the student information system will bring an elevated level of communication between our schools and our families. The additional feature of translating messages into the family's native language will be helpful for all of our families to gain necessary information regarding their child and their child's school. As our ESOL population continues to grow, we are encouraged to hear that Dr. Smith's budget includes funds for additional ESOL support in our schools. The Northwest Cluster is hopeful that a dual language immersion program will expand into our cluster in the near future. Our elementary schools would like to thank you for the continued professional development around the implementation of the new curriculum. Our teachers are appreciative to have the time to learn the necessary information, as it has been crucial in the rollout of the new curriculum. One of our staffing concerns is the need for more paraeducators, counselors, and administrative support, especially at Diamond Elementary School. Diamond currently has 806 students with 1 administrative secretary, 1 school secretary, and 1.5 counselors. Some middle schools have fewer students than Diamond, yet have more counselors and secretaries. As social emotional well-being continues to be an area of focus for MCPS, we encourage you to look at the staffing of counselors at all of our schools, particularly within our elementary schools. In addition, with the redistribution of students due to the up-county boundary study, Kingsview Middle School is anticipating an increase of 200 students next year, from 950 to 1,150. We hope that MCPS will add teachers, administrators, and support staff necessary to maintain appropriate staffing levels during this transition. Staffing during lunch and recess continues to be a concern within the Northwest Cluster. As in years past, lunch and recess are the times that our schools have the most behavioral referrals and discipline concerns. Our administrators continue to be taken away from their duties to handle these behavioral issues. We urge you to consider increasing the number of paraeducators during the elementary school lunch and recess times in order to decrease the number of behavioral referrals. Roberto Clemente Middle School would like to thank you for the upgrade in their security cameras this winter. There is still concern about the number of students to security guard ratio at Clemente, and we encourage MCPS to look at this disparity. We thank you once again for the opportunity to express the needs of our cluster and for your advocacy for all of our students in our county. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll hear from Sherry Altman from Whitman Cluster.
Good evening, President Evans, board members, and Superintendent Smith. My name is Sherry Altman, and I represent the students and families of the Whitman Cluster Schools. Thank you for this opportunity to share our perspectives about the operating budget. There are just a few needs and priorities we'd like to highlight tonight, and they're all really about staffing. So I guess it's a common theme. I know I've heard it from some of the other clusters. Staffing, number 1, staffing for the physical and emotional well-being of MCPS students. Number 2, staffing to reduce class sizes and address special education needs. And number 3, staffing for IT support. We are very fortunate and very thankful for the recently approved additions to Pyle and Whitman. We're now focused on making sure that these buildings become centers of excellence for learning in a safe, inclusive environment. Before jumping into our cluster-specific observations, we took a step back to look at operating budget trends over the past 5 years. And we found a lot of promising trends and prudent priorities, including increased staffing for counselors and psychologists, outpacing student enrollment growth. But we also saw some concerning trends, namely that security staffing and special education staffing have not kept pace with enrollment growth. And IT support staff has even declined by 9% during this time. We'd like to take a closer look at some of these issues from our cluster perspective. First, the physical and emotional well-being of our children. What could be more important than keeping our children physically safe? There are too many stories in the news and even in our local community to ignore it. So we urge MCPS to increase security staffing at least in line with enrollment growth. Pyle Middle School is very appreciative that we were given an additional security assistant who started in January. Thank you for this. Please continue to consider the needs of other large schools like Pyle, where it's not just about the number of students, but also the physical layout of the school that make it challenging. Closely related to physical safety, we're concerned about our children's emotional well-being. Programs like Be Well 365 and increasing budgets for counselors and psychologists across the county are very encouraging. However, we're not seeing an associated ramp up in the Whitman cluster schools, especially true at Whitman High School, where we lost a part-time counselor this year, and where we know stress, anxiety, and depression are pervasive across our schools. There's not even one psychologist on staff to address this. Please continue to fund increasing staffing for counseling and psychology positions, and please allocate these positions across all schools, recognizing that mental health issues cut across geographies and demographics, challenging all of our young adults. We'd now like to talk about class sizes and teaching staff needs. We thank Board Member ONeill for proposing and the Board of Ed for recently adopting a resolution to examine class size. We'd very much like to participate in this process and would appreciate an update on its status. Many of our school classes, as you probably know, already exceed budget staffing guidelines. We won't go into the numbers because you've probably heard them before, but one new piece of information that we discovered is from a study that MCPS published just a few months ago. It showed us that the whole child approach calls for core subject classes with less than 17 students. It also reported that many of our high schools and middle schools are averaging 27 students in core classes. So we're nowhere near best practice in terms of class sizes. This is also exacerbated by the homeschool model for special education. We're very pleased to have special education students integrated into our schools, but the staffing required has not come along with this model. We've seen from MCPS training videos that ideal staffing is 3 support staff to 1 special education student, but we're challenged to even get to a ratio of 1 to 1. So again, we're nowhere near best practice, and it's exacerbating deficits in the general education as we pull resources. The final issue we'd like to highlight is information technology. IT services are not something that typically get a lot of airtime, but they're nevertheless critical to our students' learning environment. And technical issues can cause learning to grind to a halt. Imagine what it's like when thousands of users are supported by just one single IT specialist. That's the situation at some of our schools. At Pyle, in particular at Pyle Middle School, where we share an IT specialist with 2 other schools. This means we don't have IT support on site every day, and the staff that is there can't keep up. It's hard to reconcile this with our increasing reliance on technology and education. We encourage MCPS to further analyze this tech gap and further fund solutions to ensure reliable technology. In conclusion, we see great foundations of learning across MCPS and promising trends,
We have your written
but to realize the potential, we need increased staffing.
We have your
Thank
written
you for this
testimony.
opportunity, and we look forward to working with you on these pressing needs.
So as we begin with our next speakers, I'm just going to ask everyone if we can be respectful of the time, when the red buzzer stops, so we can get you to stop, and we have your written testimony. Thank you. So at this time, we will hear from Sarah Cortez from the Walter Johnson Cluster.
I'm Sarah Cortez, and I'm honored to be testifying on behalf of Walter Johnson. It's an interesting time to be a Montgomery County parent, particularly for us advocacy types. Passion is high about questions concerning how we draw lines that populate our more than 200 school buildings across the county. But tonight is not about that debate. It is, in my view, about something far more important. It's about how we support, grow, and best utilize MPS's greatest asset, its staff, and thank you for all the staff for coming tonight. No matter what the building, it's the people that serve in MCPS who will create a thriving and safe learning environment for our children. The Walter Johnson Cluster therefore supports the superintendent's proposed budget. We thank you first for recognizing that we must keep pace with increased enrollment, but within our cluster and beyond. We have several requests about the budget that fall within 4 key themes, or I like to think of them as keys to success. Specifically, the staffing needs at large schools, or to borrow a term from Seneca Valley, XL schools. Special education, as Sherry just mentioned, the physical and emotional safety of our students, and a preparation for future growth. As you know, overcrowding is the foremost issue facing our cluster, which affects not only the capital budget, but the operating budget as well. Thus, our first key to success is that staffing, not just buildings, must keep pace with growth. We are grateful that Ashburton, one of the largest elementary schools in the county, was restored its ASA this year. We urge MCPS to consider other ways of reducing the administrative load at Walter Johnson schools, many of which exceed the recommended school size. We think this requires a fresh look at formulas for determining class size for paraeducators and other staff. Simply put, XL schools have different staffing needs than small schools. In particular, we ask that MCPS revisit its current policy of guidance counselor staffing. The current methodology of allocating a 0.5 counselor for elementary schools over 700 places larger schools well above the recommended ratio of 1 counselor for 250 students. While we recognize the recommended ratio might not be attainable in the short term, we ask that you consider additional counselor support once schools reach well over the 700 student mark, as is the case with half of Walter Johnson's elementary school and is detailed in our written testimony. Our second key to success is resources for special education. We in the WJ community are proud to have multiple programs supporting students with special needs. We note the recommended budget increase in special needs education and ask that you consider our programs when allocating those resources, particularly the programs at Walter Johnson High School, Tilden Middle School, and Kensington Parkwood, as detailed in our written testimony. The third key to success is both the emotional and physical safety of our students. We thank MCPS for recommending additional investments in this budget related to security. We ask that as part of this effort, MCPS address the need for more research and lunch monitors consistent with the Northwestern Cluster. With elementary grade levels that exceed 150 students in overcrowded spaces, we fear that children are truly playing at their own risk. And without additional lunch staffing, we fear crowds can deprive students that use free or reduced meals sufficient time to eat their lunch. We also ask that MCPS pay particular attention to the security of schools that utilize many portables, including additional security staff at the XL Walter Johnson High School. On bus safety, while we welcome MCPS's stated commitment to improve walkability and increase walkability to school, we recognize that many of our students will continue to use buses. As recommended by CJMS President Mr. Fraser, we think that there are too many kids reported sitting in aisles on overcrowded buses or spend more than an hour on the bus one way, even for short distances. Mr. Fraser, we're working on developing a consensus position on the toilet paper. We therefore support the recommended increase in budget for transportation, and we can't wait to see that new tracking app. On keeping our students emotionally safe, I will only just reiterate that our written testimony will echo the many, many calls we've heard here to increase our psychological, social worker, and counselor support. And finally, our last key to success is preparing for a future of growth. We get to spend a lot of time with our friends at the Division of Capital Planning staff, thanks to substantial growth in our cluster. We've spoken many times about our concerns about the reliability of forecasting data that is being used in capital decisions. The opening of several new high schools, a bold move in the capital improvement plan, and considering the results of the boundary analysis is going to stretch that staff even further. So we urge you to consider whether additional staffing is needed there. While this testimony might seem like a laundry list of I want more, it is actually a list of needs we face due to overcrowding. We know you didn't cause the overcrowding in Montgomery County, but we have to prepare for these students nonetheless. So we are prepared as Walter Johnson to stand to fully support to the County Council a full funding of this operating budget. Thank you so much.
Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Sunil Dasgupta from the Rockville Cluster.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I can be really short and say staffing and mental health and walk away, but they made me cluster coordinator, so I'm going to go through this. The Rockville cluster is one of the smallest clusters in the county, and consequently, we face some pressures on and have to make hard choices about courses, programs, and activities we are able to support. At the broadest level, then, this is an argument about rebalancing capital and operating budgets so that Rockville and other similar clusters do not always have to make hard choices. Enrollment numbers drive capital improvement decisions, of course, and they shape the operating budget decisions. And this is why I am highlighting the interaction between the two spending streams. I want to emphasize that savings in the capital budget can and should release resources for hiring more teachers, school staff, and counselors, and doing so is in sufficiently large numbers to actually begin to bring down class sizes. Last year, Rockville High School almost lost our new choir teacher because we were unable to find 0.2 FTE assignment for her in the school or in the cluster. The choir teacher had moved up from Florida to take the job just a year before. The choir numbers were up, but she had only 4, not 5 classes. I bring this up to illustrate the pressure that some smaller clusters face in staffing a range of classes. And if enrollment numbers are not addressed, this pressure can be significant. Rockville High School and its only feeder, Wood Middle School, are at the cusp of full capacity utilization. But the most efficient use of school facility, best I understand it, is really close to over 100%, between 100 and 120%. If Rockville High School was enrolled at a higher level, we would surely have enough students to fill the last choir class. I've been told that there is discussion in the school system to bring middle school French immersion to Wood Middle School, carrying the program forward from Maryvale Elementary. This is a welcome prospect for the cluster as we try to stand out among nearby clusters, many of which have special programming. As you consider the expansion of the International Baccalaureate program countywide, we ask that you keep in mind the special place of Rockville's IB program and to help us strengthen it with more higher level offerings in the sciences, social sciences and humanities. Perhaps an AP-IB combined course on physics, philosophy, or economics would be welcome additions. The second category of ask I want to highlight is increased support across the system for mental health and wellness. Wood Middle School hosted the 3rd annual MCPS-MCCPTA Mental Health and Wellness Forum on Saturday, January 11th. I do not yet have final numbers of attendees, but there is clearly a growing need for vastly expanded mental health support and wellness programs in MCPS, and that is reflected in the attendance, the discussion, and the student voices on Saturday. The operating budget, however, adds 7 psychologists, of which 3 or 4, I'm not sure which, are designated for a pilot program. This is a system-wide issue, and we have to do better. The elementary school counselor ratio is far below what is recommended even by experts. And we have to educate our principals to allow counselors to engage in counseling work beyond the scheduling, testing, and usual firefighting. The challenge in front of us is significant, and if we want to meet it with any hope of making a dent, we have to think about social and emotional learning as central to the education objective of schools, not something that is left to the health class alone. As parents and community members, we stand ready to work with you to develop a comprehensive approach to supporting better mental health and wellness for all our students in Rockville and in all the other clusters. Thank you.
Thank you. I will open it up for board comments, calling on board members that have their lights on. We will start with Mrs. Mondrosky.
Thank you. Just a couple quick things. I love the idea of the bus tracking app. Is that something that we're looking at? Oh, so, well, the app is CIP?
Yes. Oh. Dr. Smith, did you want to respond? Have somebody cut their light off? Carla? Or
Yeah, thank you. Yes, there is money, $750,000 in this Dr. Smith's proposal, budget proposal for the bus app, and which has a range of possibilities. We would obviously want to bid that out and work to see what best meets our community, but that's the intent there.
Great, thank you. Sorry I didn't get to that part yet of the budget stuff. And the expansion of activity buses, we hear that a lot. Can we get an estimate of what it costs? I know we've gotten it in the future over the years, but just roughly how much it costs to expand activity buses at a school, and whether it's a shared expense or could be a shared expense between schools, or if it's each school has to have.
Yes, we can share with you the current state of what's provided and what that cost is.
Great, thank you. And then my last thing is just, frequently we hear from smaller schools around the inability to offer particular advanced classes and things like that because of not having enough enrollment to fund a teacher. I was just curious if we either do or can have like floating teachers, similar to the way we have music staff or art staff go to the different schools and
So
shared expenses.
we absolutely have teachers who are assigned to more than one school. I think the struggle that you're hearing schools articulate is their preference is not to have the teacher part-time, 0.6, 0.8, but rather to have that teacher for the whole day. And that's where the struggle is, because if you don't have enough students to take courses, then you may have a teacher for, say, 3 periods a day, and they might go to a neighboring school and teach 2 classes a day. So the struggle is when not enough students sign up to take that level of course, and I know that Dr. Daka and Ms. Dixon and those that have been in schools could talk to you a little bit about how principals manage. They have to look at what the course requirements are, what students are signing up to take, and then they have to make decisions about how many sections to schedule for those students. And so I think the struggle is the full-time versus the part-time.
Mrs. O'Neill.
Yes, so I realize that we'll be circling back to issues multiple times, not just in our second night of hearing, but when we have the actual work sessions on the budget. But we have heard about security concerns and the issue of square footage increases, and as well as larger populations. Specifically, I'm concerned about the expansion at Seneca Valley now that it will be the largest physical high school in the state of Maryland. When we have our work session, can you be prepared to give us information on what you learned about the benchmarking and where we are, in our middle schools and high schools, square footage and enrollment projections? And I know that this budget adds 2 security assistants in middle school and 3 in high schools, and then the rovers, but I just would like to see a graphic or a chart so that I have a better understanding, because I think it's one that there's a lot of concern out in the community.
Yeah, I think we'd be happy to do that, and I think the work session would be a great opportunity to present the information we have.
Okay. If I go in order of lights, it was Ms. Silvestri, then Ms. Dixon, then Dr. Daka. Ms. Silvestri.
I have 2 questions. The first one is regarding our special education positions, 134 positions in the budget. Could you explain to us how those will be utilized?
Yes, so we go through a process of looking at expected enrollment growth in each program and also across the schools, and that's how we come up with projections. The special education office, and I just look behind me if Kevin wants to apply anything else, but the special education office actually does almost a monthly count of students beyond September 30th, and keeps counts to make determinations around expected growth every year for each of its programs. And so then we come together and look at all the programs, and then we also look at the staffing allocations that schools get. There's a second round of staffing that's not program specific, that is just on the total enrollment of students with IEPs in a school. And there is a level of funding that comes to support those students in those particular schools. All those added together with the projections that we have and how many more students we will get is how we come up with the total recommendation for the budget.
So this is growth? This is just growth? There's no new programs or?
Sure.
The majority of the budget is growth. So we have growth within
some of our programs that require a much lower student-to-staff ratio. So in some of our programs with more intensive needs for our students, there's quite a bit of growth going on there. And so you have a higher need for more staff at a lower student ratio. We have our PEP programs, our pre-K programs are growing considerably next year. And so we need quite a few staffing also in there. One of the areas that we are also looking at which is not growth, is changing a 5-hour pre-K program to a full-day program. So it means adding an hour. Now our teachers currently are full-time, so that won't cost us extra as far as the teachers, but we have to pay for additional para-hour in each one of those classrooms. So it'll come to a little over 5 additional paraeducators to increase the staffing in that pre-K program, as we continue to work on our pre-K programs and to go full day for all of our pre-K.
You can turn your light off.
My second question is, a couple people have referenced an ESOL director being reinstated. Could you help me understand what that's going to be doing?
There is in the Office of Curriculum and Instructional Programs, there is a recommendation to bring forward a director of ESOL supports that would have 2 supervisors and a series of instructional specialists reporting to that office. It is a level position that we've had conversations around by looking at our student demographics, our needs, and thinking forward with some of the things that have been mentioned earlier today around ensuring that our students get the appropriate services, and also that they are accessing the correct academic programming. So that is in the superintendent's budget to you.
Ms. Dixon.
Yes. Last year, the board added $50,000 for after-school programs in elementary schools specifically, and also in middle schools. When we have the work session, could we get an update on how that worked? I'm specifically interested in the elementary schools. I don't know if Rebecca, who made the motion about the middle schools, would like the same information.
Yes,
and then, what is our plan for those schools, the elementary schools, after-school programs and activity buses and those things in this budget? So that would be at the work session.
Okay.
You don't have to do
We'll
it
be
now.
prepared.
Thank you.
Dr. Daka.
Just a question about instruments. Is it true that only at the beginning of the school, if it's a new building or a new opening, they can buy instruments, or is there some fund where they can replenish those?
There is a central fund. We sat with Dr. Smith and took a look at the growth that the district continues to have every single year, how many more students we have. There is a district fund that both purchases and repairs instruments, and we made a recommendation. We have in this budget a recommendation to increase funding to support just on the number of students that you've heard. We've increased in the number of students. It's great that more of our students are having experiences with instruments and music, and so we want to make sure that we keep up with the demand, and that's in the recommended budget.
Thank you.
Dr. Daka, in addition to the central purchasing of instruments and the repair of instruments, schools are allocated each year instructional materials money and supplies money, and that money can be used to purchase any kind of supply, instructional material, equipment that they need for their schools. So there are a variety of ways. That doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement, and that's why in addition to the funds we're already allocating to schools, the superintendent is adding additional dollars to purchase funds, especially for those students and in those schools where there are more students who struggle with being able to purchase those.
Thank you for that information. And while we're talking about that, the .2 music teacher, .2, I don't know what you can do with that in another school because there's travel time involved. So is there some way that we could make that kind of, if that happens again, a full-time person, FTE?
That is something we've been working on, is looking at the small fractions of positions and aggregating those to larger numbers. Of course, it does have a budgetary impact because every 0.2 of a staff member is, part of a salary. So, but we have been looking at how we can make that more practical and more useful across not just the music, but across all programming.
Okay, thank you. Budgetary impact. I think all of us are thinking about that. We
Yes.
know that all these things are needed, but what can we do in order to fit them in? What can we cut? And this is really a very hard job. And the shared IT specialist, is that usual?
Yes, that's common across the district, and so there's no doubt that as we expand in enrollment in schools and just technology becomes more and more prevalent, this is just an area that we're looking at very closely about how to continue to provide that effective support for our schools.
Ms. Wolf, Dr. Smith, did you want to?
I was just going to go back to the 0.2. It's just important, just so folks understand, a 0.2 is 20% of a teacher's salary. So if you are an entry-level teacher, that's between $60,000 and $70,000 when you look at compensation and benefits together. And if you're at the top of the salary range, that's between $100,000 and $125,000. So you can see it ranges between $12,000 to $15,000 all the way up to above $25,000. So when we talk about a 0.2, it sounds small, but it doesn't take very long for 0.2s to become a very big number in a school system this large.
Ms. Wolf.
I have a follow-up question to Ms. ONeill's. As I understand it, she asked for a report on the number of security personnel based on the square footage. But I heard here a number of comments about the layout of the building. Specifically, they talked about, Seneca Valley now having 5 levels, which, I mean, I've been in several high schools, and just the walk around to find the handicap elevator could be massive. So I wanted to know, is that part of the discussion when you determine how many security guards are going into a building? And you don't have to answer it now, but I just want to know then, what is the plan for something as large as a Seneca Valley?
Yes, so the answer is yes, and when we come back at the work session, we'll talk about the different factors that go into determining the number of security staff members for a school. So that'll be part of what we discuss at the work session, Ms. Wolf.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will hear from our next speaker, Kathy Stoker, and she's from the Bethesda Chevy Chase Cluster.
Dear Board President Evans, Board of Education members, and Superintendent Smith, thank you for the opportunity to submit testimony regarding the MCPS FY 2021 operating budget. My name is Kathy Stocker, and along with my fellow BCC Cluster Coordinator Tim Wolf, we welcome the opportunity to represent the families of the 7,600 kids currently enrolled over our 10 schools. Thank you, Superintendent Smith, and to your staff at MCPS for your work and careful consideration of the needs and priorities of our MCPS students and families. We are encouraged by the ongoing effort to monitor class size and encourage continued investment in class size reduction. We also support the effort to invest in recruitment of highly qualified teachers, especially for higher level science, math, and foreign language courses. Our community appreciates MCPS's response to our request for the addition of mental health support staff and encourages continued investment. On the topic of mental health, I would like to bring an urgent matter before the board, one that the BCC High School leadership has pursued without resolution. BCC High School is in desperate need of a full-time ESOL counselor. We currently have 150 ESOL students in need and just one part-time ESOL counselor who is only at the school 1 day a week. As one of the sites for the METS program, we have English language learners who have endured multiple years of interrupted and disrupted education and sometimes, sadly, severe trauma. They lack sufficient support but are still expected to complete high school in 4 years. They need social work support and intervention. No doubt other METS sites and high schools across the county are experiencing the same challenges, but our situation is critical. It is not feasible for one person working one day to adequately address this population. If there is anything we can do to collaborate with you to address this immediate need, please know that we will be willing partners in responding to this acute deficit. These students need counseling support for their basic health and wellness, without which they cannot be ready to learn. This required investment in more counseling staff can be a surgical intervention we can make right now to move the needle on the troubling achievement gap for this population of students. If we do not, the gap will remain stubbornly wide, and more urgently, and more importantly, frankly, we will fail to meet the fundamental needs of an entire cohort of these kids. We also recognize the need for dedicated counseling specialists for special needs students with IEP and 504 plans. Counselors do not have the time and availability they need to work with these students, and we encourage you to consider dedicating specialists to work with our special needs population. These human resource investments are critical to addressing the achievement gap. The other need we would like to bring to your attention is the funding necessary to guarantee continuity of curricular pathways for our students. What do I mean by this? We have too many students who start down a multi-step curricular path, working hard toward a goal with the expectation that they will reach an advanced class only to get to that point and have the rug pulled out from under them when the class is unexpectedly available. Whether it be a capstone research and design project in an engineering curriculum or a level 3 language class in middle school, students should be able to plan for and make class choices with the confidence that they continue on their curricular path. We understand that principals have to make tough choices and that if programs do not hit enrollment targets, a principal may be forced to make the hard choice to cancel an upper level course. There are a number of damaging consequences when this happens. Students cannot go back in time and add more advanced courses in a different pathway and are therefore unable to show an accelerated or advanced course on their transcript. Innovative programs cannot gain traction if they are not allowed to ramp up and experience some variability in enrollment over time. Similarly, if students fear that there will not be a commitment to a curricular pathway, they will not enroll and the programs will die out. Please consider providing the resources and encourage more flexibility and guidelines around enrollment in upper level classes. It is only natural that as students advance in a field that class sizes will diminish. A catalog of advanced classes at a school is a benefit for all teachers and students, and we should be encouraging students to be ambitious and pursue advanced work. Please consider perhaps a small pool of grants that would make this continuity possible when normal variability threatens a rigorous and/or innovative program. Thank you for your consideration of these requests. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today, and thank you all for your service to our community.
Thank you. Thank you to all our cluster coordinators that came tonight to speak. We gave all of our cluster coordinators 5 minutes. Now we will hear from individuals and organizations. They will have 3 minutes to speak. And we will begin by hearing from Speaker Paul Geller.
Thank you. Board of Education members, I hope you'll do one thing that will help us with our operating budget more than anything else, and that is to please bring Dr. Smith back. I wouldn't ordinarily make such a public statement. However, having worked with informally the last 3 superintendents, I found Dr. Smith to be not only receptive, but responsive, caring, and he truly is a remarkable individual simply for one thing that he did. And that was he got on the pony truck with the pony drivers, and he made sure that he visited every single one of our schools. And that may not seem like a lot, but to me that speaks volumes. That's the kind of character that we saw in people like Sam Walton when he ran Walmart when it was still good, before it became a money-grubbing machine. But he would go out with his truck drivers and he'd go visit his stores. He wanted to see what was going on, and you do that. And it was a great way to start things off, and it set a proper tone. I can't help but remember what happened on June 11th when you received a brief about what we should be doing in the future for our students. And one of the stats that you were given really stood with me. And it said the effects of a costly 10-student reduction in class size are smaller than the benefit of moving 1 standard deviation up the teacher quality distribution. I thought that was very telling. Many of us worked very hard to add over $462 million above maintenance of effort to the budget over the last 4 years. And there's only so much that money can do. It becomes a challenge of how do you motivate people to lead us to where we need to get, to make it incumbent upon each and every one of us, teachers, staff, family members, community members, how we can give our all to make sure our kids are getting what they need. I'm a very proud member of the Black and Brown Coalition for Educational Equity and Excellence. And the reasons are abundant, none more so than what I witnessed at the NAACP kickoff a few months ago. There was a group of minority scholar programs there, minority scholar student program students there, and they were talking about their experiences at MCPS. They were talking about how, this are my words, not theirs, how they were discriminated against. How one student shared a story about how in first grade, her parents came from somewhere else. She had a bit of an accent, and she spelled color, C-O-L-O-U-R. And the teacher says, you don't know how to spell properly. This is not proper. We don't do that here. You have to spell our way. I care deeply as you do about these students. We have to give our all to make sure that everyone that is encountering our students does what Dr. Joey Jones does. And that is, we care deeply that they each have a trusted adult they can come to, and they see a problem, we can help them address it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Claire Fenton and Monica Pimienta. I have it. Pimienta.
I'm Claire Fenton. Good evening, MCPS Board of Education. Thank you for your time. My name is Claire Fenton, and I am a reading teacher at Sligo Middle School. I'm here to advocate for greater oversight, resources, staffing, and trauma-related support for our METS program at Sligo and throughout MCPS. At this time, will those from the Sligo community here to support our METS students stand with me in solidarity? Thank you. I'm sure you are working to address the many barriers to school success that are often experienced by English language learners. Limited English proficient MCPS students currently graduate at a rate of 46%. Students enrolled in the Multidisciplinary Educational Training and Support Program are a subset of this population. They've recently immigrated to the U.S., missed 2 years or more of school in their home country, and lack basic academic skills in their native language as well as in English. They have a particularly difficult path ahead of them. I teach children in the METS program, and I care for them deeply. I see their strengths and potential. I also see a great deal of need. I am imploring you to help. I have worked with METS students that have been raped, placed in foster care, separated from their families, held in detention centers, and housed in motels and homeless shelters. Some have run away from home, witnessed domestic and gang violence, and made their journey to the United States alone. Countless have recently reunited with a parent after many years apart. Numerous have missed schools for immigration hearings, where they are often required to recount their traumatic experiences. Many suffer from sadness, anger, or homesickness. Several have engaged in self-harm, expressed suicidal thoughts, or even made suicide attempts. Some come to me unable to write their own names, and many are unable to identify letter sounds in their native language. Despite the enormous challenges faced by these children, they are mostly eager learners who demonstrate incredible resilience. While their experiences are diverse, they are a group of students facing great obstacles to success. The MCPS METS website describes small supportive classes capped at 15. At Sligo, we have 30 METS students, which entitles us to 2 full-time teachers and 2 support professionals. Instead of 4 adults, we have a single teacher allocated to our METS students. Our school administration has advocated for additional staffing and rerouted staffing and resources. Our PTSA supports our METS families in need financially and by volunteering. Our parent community coordinator and ESOL counselor do all they can for our students with the limited hours they have assigned to our school. With our school counselors, they coordinate with charities and volunteer organizations. We are working for our students and their families, but we need more help. We need more teachers and smaller classes, but we also need mental health services.
Thank you. am I calling Monica? Was Monica not with Claire? Oh, okay. So now we will hear from Anna Granay, Carol Palray, and Ricardo Castillo. Okay.
Good evening, Dr. Smith, Dr. Navarro, members of the Board of Education. My name is Ana Gruene. I am a school psychologist completing my 32nd year with MCPS Bilingual Assessment Team. I was born in Cuba and immigrated to Miami with my family in the early 60s. My mother was a teacher. My dad was an accountant in Cuba. As I'm sure you can imagine, our life changed dramatically when upon arriving in the United States. My parents spoke no English and could not work in their chosen profession. We were fortunate enough to be able to move to Puerto Rico, where both of my parents resumed their professional careers. My parents placed a strong emphasis on education and reinforced to us that you can lose your home, material things, and family, but yet no one can ever take away your education. They made huge sacrifice to put us through graduate school. I was lucky. The Bilingual Assessment Team, or BAT, is comprised of bilingual bicultural school psychologists, instructional specialists, speech pathology, and a secretary. The BAT helps to ensure that English language learners are assessed in the home language in an appropriate and equitable manner when there is a concern about possible educational disability. How can we accomplish this? One student at a time. Let me tell you about Maria, an 8-year-old who came to the United States from Central America in May 2019 with a history of seizures, multiple surgeries, and a diagnosis of a rare disease syndrome affecting her vision, communication, motor, and hearing. The school, she was also suspected by the school of having an intellectual disability. Throughout my bilingual psychological assessment, which included multiple hours spent with Maria's mother gathering information, listening to her concerns, and establishing a trusting relationship with her, I was able to provide data that Maria's cognitive skills were in the average range. Imagine for a moment the trajectory of Maria's educational experience had the hypothesis of intellectual disability not been disproved. This is only one example of how my colleagues and I help to close the performance gap between ESOL students and their non-ESOL peers, one student at a time. The referrals to the BAT have increased proportionally with increase in ESOL students. Unfortunately, the reality is that at this time, we cannot work with every student who will benefit from our services. We simply don't have the staff to address MCPS demand for bilingual assessment. We wish to express our appreciation to Dr. Smith, Dr. Navarro, Mrs. Rubin, and Dr. Connolly for the recommended increase of my additional BAT staff in the proposed budget. These positions are greatly needed, and their addition will ensure access to equitable diagnosis service for a greater number of ESOL students. Thank you y muchas gracias.
At this time, we will hear from Sarah Foreman.
It was it was closing night of Hairspray, my 6th show directing at Wheaton High School. And this usually stoic mother approached me with tears in her eyes. She grabbed me by the hands, pulled me close, and said, "I want to thank you. You saved my son's life. Freshman year, I had to drag him to school. He was in such despair from his health issues. And I cannot believe that after you convinced him to audition, 3 years later, he is up on stage dancing and singing in a pink dress and wig." We were both in awe of his transformation. This mother's story, though, is just one example of the many who report the dramatic impact that theater has on their students' lives. I'm one of them. And this is the reason why I choose to put my life's work into theater education. Our Fine Arts Caucus wants to create awareness tonight of some issues that limit opportunity and equity for our theater and dance students. MCPS calls for a focus on safety, but only allocates one drama director to supervise sometimes upwards of 90 actors. Our technical director cannot be seen as the second chaperone in the room. They're usually in a completely different space. Just as an MCPS head football coach is allocated 3 assistant coaches to coordinate offense, defense, and special teams, a drama director requires at least 1 assistant to help us coordinate all of the aspects of productions and all of the activities we conduct throughout the year. Unfortunately, half of our drama directors split this stipend just to get everything that we are expected to get done. Splitting that stipend is hard to swallow when you consider the hours that we put into our students' programs. A survey of 25 drama directors revealed, MCPS drama directors, revealed that we worked at least 43 unpaid hours just in this last fall production. And this position requires 2 productions per year. With no allocated funding, schools with large populations of farm students cannot equitably provide the same opportunities as schools in more affluent parts of the county. Equity for our students starts with providing directors the support they need. Even worse, there are no fixed stipends for our dance teachers who spend countless hours after school rehearsing and prepping for their showcases. Just last week, 3 of my students were in dismay because our Latin dance team struggles to stay alive year after year. How can MCPS put their name on an annual Latin dance competition but not provide a fixed stipend for dance teachers so that every school can participate? How can we let this happen to Wheaton High School, where 55% of our students are Latino? Again, this disproportionately affects opportunities for our Black and brown students. As the largest school district in Maryland, we need to become a model for the rest. We ask that the board meets with our Fine Arts Caucus so that we can offer guidance for how to do better for our theater and dance students. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Helga Lust.
Good evening, Dr. Smith and Board of Education members. My name is Helga Lust, and in my day job, and under a federal contract, I serve 16 states with technical assistance to reduce bullying and violence and improve school climate. I also serve on the county's Mental Health Advisory Committee, and I'm the chair of the Suicide Prevention Subcommittee, although I'm not speaking to you from those roles. My decades of experience on mental health and trauma informs what I'm sharing with you, and I'm also a mother of twins who attend Wheaton High School. Given how immersed I've been in research, I want to encourage you to view mental health as essential to learning. In short, investing in social emotional learning and trauma-informed schools, providing school-based mental health, more than one counselor for hundreds of kids, and teaching mindfulness skills are investments that help our kids age into adulthood on solid footing and with healthy and supportive relationships. Be Well 365 and other program training needs to happen with every teacher in every school. Otherwise, it's really not effective. I would also encourage you to look into Medicaid as a method to help fund mental health resources in our schools. Other communities have tapped into the federal state Medicaid program, but it continues to be an underused source of funding. When we think about budget, we also need to consider what money we are leaving at the table. With 1 in 5 kids experiencing mental health concerns, this is one area where we have great need, yet this remains an unutilized resource, an unutilized pathway to provide mental health services that our kids need. This isn't a trade-off between education resources and health services. With a little effort, we could use Medicaid to provide more support in our schools and to our children. Another mental health issue relates to 2 of the biggest consistent sources of anxiety and concern of our kids: the climate crisis and the threat of school shootings. One of the most meaningful pathways youth can lessen the feeling of hopelessness is through action and civic engagement. While not a budget issue per se, I strongly encourage you all to consider your role and the role that you play in affording students in Montgomery County the opportunity to miss school, to protest, engage in civic activities, and serve as community leaders. As a final point, while our county works hard to meet carbon reduction goals and reduce waste, the Board of Education also plays an important role in that effort, not just with buildings and transportation, but in making smart choices about what happens in our schools. Water bottle filling stations are an investment of $200,000, but but less overtime than the $415,000 spent for more than 3 million single-use water bottles used in Montgomery County Public Schools every year. There's a financial and environmental cost to recycling those bottles, even if they make it into the recycling stream. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you. At this time, we will hear from Ron Nesbitt. Now we will move on to Joanne Fellows.
Just gonna hit buttons till I figure it out. Nope. How do we to the, anybody? Okay. Ah, there we go. While other Seneca Valley students were joyously celebrating last week's early release, my theater students were visibly upset. I didn't need to ask why, but I did anyway. Aren't you excited to get out of school early? No, they said. Theater is the only reason I come to school most days. For some of our students, theater is not just a way to spend their time, but it's a necessary outlet. It's a family that they choose. It's a safe space. It's an opportunity to be recognized, to be seen, and to be accepted. As a theater teacher at Seneca representing MCPS Fine Arts Caucus, I want to first celebrate amazing strides MCPS has made. Loiterman has broken ground on their Performing Arts Center. Elementary art teachers are now receiving the necessary per-pupil funding they deserve. And over the last 5 years, we've worked hard to raise our curriculums to the level of rigor and excellence that MCPS stands for. We have so much potential to make MCPS Fine Arts the model for the state of Maryland, but there are core issues that hold us back from this, and those are equity and opportunity. The inequity that MCPS Fine Arts programs begins here at the top in central office. We need an all-means-all approach. The Fine Arts Caucus proposes the board establish a 1.0 content specialist for theater and dance. Why in Maryland's largest district, in the 14th largest district in the country, do visual art, dance, media arts, and theater share one content specialist position? MCPS simply needs to step it up. This starts with equitable leadership. One person cannot guarantee equitable time for art, theater, media arts, and dance programs. They must write budgets and grants, coordinate countywide festivals and showcases, identify and facilitate professional development opportunities, meet with department chairs, develop curriculum, and figure out how to incorporate a new media arts program, all while providing direct support to all of our schools. It's impossible. There's too much work. Too many teachers and programs that need support, and all the pieces that fall through the cracks directly impact our students. Our neighbors, Howard and Prince George's County, provide funds for production rights, scripts, costumes, which are the highest expenses for our programs. Prince George's County provides each art form with their own content specialist. Why are we not providing this opportunity? According to Americans for the Arts, in addition to serving as an entry point for deeper learning and engagement in academic content, arts programming provides a meaningful context for honing skills that are viewed as highly valued in the workplace: creativity, leadership, innovation. We need to give our students these opportunities from the moment they enter our schools, and that starts at the top. We would love to meet with the board as the Fine Arts Caucus to discuss the future of fine arts and the future of MCPS. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dixon?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who came out this evening, to those of you who stood with Claire from Sligo, to the BAT team over there. We appreciate you and what you do every day on behalf of our students. And to not Claire, but Sarah and Joanna. I know everything that you say is absolutely true. I know that from my time at Paint Branch High School and the job that Amber Perkins did with the Paint Branch perspectives and how important everything is. And I love Sarah's analogy about the football team. Mm-hmm. You know, they have all these coaches. You should have a tech person, an assistant director, and a choreographer as well. And so, I want to ask if we can get an update on just what we're spending on the arts programs for each of our schools, especially the high schools, because these are really, really important to students. And the mental health piece is huge. I know when plays are over, students go into a depression. They literally do, because they don't have that every day. But you are a family, and we appreciate all that you do for our students. And so thank you all very much, and thank you once again to everyone who came out this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Dixon. So I missed the order of lights. I don't know if Mrs. ONeill or Mrs. Madras was next.
I'll just, go ahead. Really quickly, I'm concerned about the BCC cluster's testimony about needing a full-time ESOL counselor. What is the cutoff to determine how many students we need to have a counselor full-time?
Can we get one light off, please, so Dr. Smith can speak?
We'll follow up on those. I've made notes about each of those individual schools, and so we'll follow up on those.
Great, thank you.
And we'll send also the information to the board on the various staffing systems for all those programs.
Perfect. Thank you. I know our METS programs especially really need a lot of supports. I want to second the comments of my colleague here about the arts and theaters stuff. I had written down to ask how much, in terms of the stipends, how much each school currently receives, and for those programs, because I think that I'd be interested to see what that is.
Provide all of that on a list of each of the schools, each of the high schools.
Great, thank you. The Medicaid question for mental health, is that something that we look at? I didn't even know that was a possibility, but it
We
seems
do
great.
receive Medicaid funding, but I also made a note about that, and we'll check and make sure we're getting the full allocation that we could be getting.
Awesome.
Let's make sure and share that information back with you as a question.
Cool, thank you. And then lastly, I just, as a follow-up to the MCPS Fine Arts Caucus, happy to meet with you all anytime, and we can set something like that up through the office. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. It was great to have you here and listen to your testimony.
Dr. Daka?
I want to thank everybody who came out, but for the arts especially, and for mentioning Latino dance, which is one of the things I've been pushing for. But I think it was last year that they cut that arts person to half a point. But we worked to get it back to 1. But we understand what you're saying, that 1 for all of the kinds of things that he or she has to be responsible for is amazing. So thank you for that. And the time that Dr. Smith rode the pony when he was first visiting schools, he visited my home and brought the pony to me.
Mrs. ONeill?
Yes, piggybacking on Ms. Mandrowski's question about the ESOL counselor, and we heard from BCC, I think I would like to know, how many ESOL counselors we have. I realize that all counselors also are supposed to work with all students, but specifically, how many ESOL counselors do we have, and how are they deployed? Where are they deployed? And then on the theater, I can't help but trip down memory lane as a student at Walter Johnson High School 51 years ago. I graduated. Mr. Stephen Perry Ellis did all of the productions at Walter Johnson, and there was one teacher that assisted us in the dark ages of the 60s. But I can still remember his name because it was the highlight of my days as a student at Walter Johnson working on all the productions. So my question is about the stipends. And I know they're part of the negotiated agreement, but it's also a budgetary issue about stipends, and what would it cost to have an additional assistant for the theater program, and also about the dance. Frankly, I'm surprised there is no stipend. I don't have them all memorized, but what would it cost, and how can we accomplish
We'll
this?
provide a detailed analysis of what that looks like now.
Thank you. Ms. Wolf?
I'd like to thank everyone that came out this evening to testify, but I'd especially like to thank the MCPS staff that have worked all day and still came out to talk about the needs of their students tonight. I would also like to say that we've heard many things that are needed or need to be thought about. As you probably know, we won't be able to accomplish them all, but we have heard you, and we will certainly do our best to address these issues. Thank you.
Ms. Silvestri.
I know we're going to get more information about the ESOL counselors and the METS staffing, but during the work session, I'd like to discuss further the allocation versus the reality. Sometimes staff is allocated, but for whatever reason, we get situations like the ones we heard today. So just things happen, and I think it's important for us to understand how the resources are being allocated, and then what trips us up that we end up with a classroom of 30 MET students when we should have had 2 teachers. So just for the budget discussion. I want to say thank you to the BAT team for being here today. One of my concerns has always been the intersect of ESOL and special education, so I greatly appreciate that very highly, that skill that you bring to our system and for the benefit of our students. And as a person that came out of her shell through a theater program in my high school, I understand and value the work that you do. Thank you very much for being here today.
Mr. Tinbite.
No questions for me, but thank you to those from the BAT program and also from the theater program. Oddly enough, it was also where I came out my shell in Sligo Middle School. That was the first time that I took part of the play, so definitely thank you all for coming out, and also MCPS staff. Thank you.
Dr. Smith, did you have any closing remarks, thoughts?
I just want to add my thank you to all that our staff members do every single day for our students, and it means a lot. I have to just make 2 personal connections. My wife Gail and I, we have 2 adopted sons. They were adopted when they were 7 and 9 from Bulgaria, and both of them benefited from the bilingual assessment work. We had to go and have that done privately, but I understand the work you do and I appreciate it. And I've directed about 60 plays and musicals in my life, so I really understand what you do every day. In fact, one of my goals, and I haven't told the board this, so I will tell them in public, I'd really like to direct a play next year as part of my duties. So, yes. I do want to point out also on a more serious, I actually was serious, but on a different note, this week our capital budget recommendation from the County Executive's Office will come out on Wednesday, and that will be an indicator of what our operating budget recommendation might look like, so it's worth paying attention to that. And certainly the capital needs are profound and the operating needs are profound. And so we can tell you how much we appreciate you and value your support for whatever it is that you want to see happen, because it all comes together to serve 166,000 students. So thank you so much for being here tonight.
Ms. Dixon.
Dr. Smith, is that a play at a school, or did you expect the board to be in it?
I was thinking of school, but we actually could do a play with adults and students together.
Very good. So again, we just want to thank you all for coming out this evening. We really appreciate you taking your time to come and share your comments and thoughts with us. We will take it, as stated earlier, into careful consideration, and we look forward to seeing you all back here on Wednesday, January the 15th at 6 p.m. We are now adjourned.